Hi there, welcome to the All Boys podcast. This is our first episode, and I'm here with Ustadh Lih Ingabo. Niaje Buddha?
Yeah, I'm great.
Yeah, you're good.
Okay,
Yeah,
I'm good.
yeah, welcome. Well, thank you for coming on to the episode.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to be having this podcast with you, Mr. John Wang.
Okay, so we're going to talk about some random things. Yeah, whatever comes to mind. Yeah, but mostly.
Yeah, it will be. I'm hoping it will be more of a rabbit hole.
Yeah, it's a rabbit hole.
One topic will lead to the next,
Yeah.
and that topic will lead to the next as we go along.
Yeah, unfortunately, Zoom has a 40-minute time limit. I don't know why.
That won't be an issue.
Yeah. You're saying we'll need more than 40 minutes?
In 40 minutes, we'll have done a lot of work here in terms of the topics that we're going to discuss. So,
yeah.
So I guess we can start.
Yeah, we've already started. 40 minutes. It's a high school lesson. It's a chem lesson.
Yeah, you know, I remember they used to tell us that the maximum time that a student can concentrate is only 40 minutes.
Yeah.
It's not exactly 40.
Yeah.
It's between, for me, it was between 20 and 30 something. I guess 40 was, it was the threshold. After 40 minutes, nothing can get inside your head anymore.
So
you are done with whatever that person is talking about.
So what were you doing?
You are fed up to listening to one voice.
Yeah. What were you doing those double lessons for came with Mr. Masharia back in Bango?
Mr. Masharia,
Yeah.
though he used to refer to himself as Mr. Mashalia.
Mr. Mashalia.
So like 40 minutes is 1 hour 20 minutes.
Yeah.
I guess I used to concentrate the first 20 minutes, then I was done. the next 20 minutes, maybe I will take a nap. Though it will be a hidden nap. It's a nap that you sleep like a soldier.
Yeah, underwater.
Yeah, underwater. It used to be a nap that you sleep underwater. You sleep with one eye and then the other eye is checking whether maybe the teacher may be noticing somebody is not paying attention somewhere. So it was just an app that it was a half-assed nap.
Yeah. Teachers always used to go hard on the guys, ask guys who are sitting in the back, and it was you guys who were sleeping. The guys in the front 3 rows.
Yeah, you know, the assumption was that the people who sit at the back, the backbenchers,
yeah,
they are the ones who are they are the people who sleep in class, the people who cause chaos in class. So the focus of the teacher was mostly on those people who sit at the back. So it gave us leeway.
Yeah.
We who used to sit at the front, it gave us leeway to do all those things.
Yeah.
So I could sleep comfortably. In fact, I remember my desk mate, he taught me a position, a very nice sleeping position. You sleep while you are upright. You just put your head on the locker like this.
Yeah.
And you sleep. You pretend that you're actually doing very serious stuff, especially during prep. You pretend that you're doing very serious stuff, but
so
you're gone. You are not even in that school. You are somewhere else.
So that when sniper comes sniping, he'll just catch Kira Gilbert with the back bench there.
Yeah, Gilbert will be caught. Still, Gilbert, he never used to hide himself.
Yes.
If he's sleeping, he'll just sleep. If you catch him, Kesi Badai, he'll just sleep.
Yeah.
If it's the pavement, he'll prefer to watch the pavement, but as long as he has had his own sleep. In fact, Gilbert used to say that he never used to do anything during morning preps. That was his sleeping time extension. It was from 6 to 7.
Yeah, that is the time that. But we didn't have that morning prep as such, like other schools. I was talking.
That was maybe if you. Are you talking to?
I was talking to some kid who is in Maseno right now. And he was telling me how they have their night prep from 6:30 p.m. to 11 p.m. And then there's a morning
6:30 to 11.
Yeah, 11. There's a morning prep from 4:30. So that means at 4 you're up. At 4 you're supposed to be up. That means 4:30 you're in class. So practically you have slept only 5 hours. And that is if you're really efficient with your time.
Yeah, because from 11.
Yeah.
From 11 you won't sleep immediately. Maybe you are having a chat with some few people.
Yeah, going to hustle
you want
some
to do
manga.
some activities. Yeah, you want to go and disturb some from one there.
Yeah.
And you have to bully maybe a from 2.
Yeah.
So like assuming you're in sports,
yeah.
And maybe there's a teammate who is in your dorm. Who is of course is not a senior member. You being a senior member, you have to go and disturb some of these people so that they can show senior members some respect.
Yeah.
So if the prep ends at 11, you may be sleeping maybe towards 12 or 12:30.
12:30. And then you're up.
So if you sleep, you are up by 4.
Yeah.
From I can assure those people in Marcelo, the administration. From 4:30.
Yeah.
Up to it's what time?
I think maybe around 6. I don't know. I can't remember correctly, but I think it was around 6. It's about a 2-hour prep. A 2-hour prep. Yeah? Nothing
from
is
4:30 to maybe 6 or 6:30. Nothing goes on.
Yeah,
that is a sleeping time. And by the way, one thing. The type of sleep that comes when you're in class is entirely different from that one that you have when you're in your bed.
Yeah.
When you sleep during prep, okay, I can classify them. I can say maybe if you're in bed, it's type 1.
Yeah.
During prep time, it may be type 2. Then during a lesson, that's type 3, and it's the best type of sleep. You can, it's the sweetest. You can trade anything for that type of sleep. It's the sweetest. I don't know why it used to be that way.
I think it's maybe
that sleep that people used to, or the danger that we encounter during that time.
Yes.
Forbidden fruit tastes the sweetest.
Yes. Yeah, well, speaking about danger, I saw something. I was reading a book about addiction. So the author was talking about pleasure-pain balance. So there's a study that was done with World War II soldiers. So soldiers who were injured in war with severe injuries will not feel the pain of their injuries because it was a chance for them to be taken away from the danger. So like if you got your leg blown off by an RPG or something, then you had to be taken back to the headquarters or barracks. So you didn't have to fight in the war. You didn't face the danger of dying. So they will say that the soldiers will almost feel a kind of relief. So even the pain they will get from their injuries will like be cancelled out by the pleasure they will get for being taken out of the battlefield. So maybe it's something to do with that. There's something about danger and getting away from danger and facing danger. So the risk associated with sleeping when Mr. Mbungu is trying to teach you something about
some calculus.
Some calculus there. Yeah, so
it's yeah, I guess maybe for those soldiers, maybe it was the mind cannot deal with two peaks.
Yeah.
2 peaks at the same time.
Yeah.
There is fear, then there is pain. So for organisms, I can speak about mammals because I am one. I don't know much about fish, but I guess they operate more or less the same with us. We are driven by fear. That's one thing that people ought to understand, because fear is something that has driven us. In fact, human beings, we weren't the strongest, the fastest.
Yeah.
We weren't the best at anything. In fact, I think human beings, we are the most vulnerable of all species.
Yeah.
If because you can't run away from a lion, or lions normally hunt they hunt in groups.
Yeah.
So if you find yourself if you find yourself within a pride of like 4 lions, there is nothing much you can do. It's going to devour you.
Yeah.
So I guess it was that fear that I think it must have driven intelligence. It drove us to become intelligent and to think more, so that we can protect ourselves, because it's all about survival.
Yeah.
So fear is a very crude idea. It's in our reptilian mind. Then on the other side there is pain.
Yeah.
We also have pain. So pain is also something that the mind never takes for granted. The moment a part of your body, even if it's your little toe, starts to experience some amount of pain, the brain is going to come up with a way to alleviate that pain immediately. But the thing is, the mind cannot deal with, you can't multitask any 2 peaks.
Yeah.
So I guess those soldiers, they prefer one over the other. That's how maybe I think it must have worked. I was discussing with my friend something about the reptilian brain, now that you come up with that story.
Yeah.
And it was about something about people in the middle class. I've got a problem. I've got a very big issue with people who live in middle class. Yeah. I don't know. We have the lower middle class. We have the middle class. We have the upper middle class.
Yeah. Then we have the wannabe middle class.
That whole group.
Yeah.
That whole group is a very big issue, because those people are the comfortable people. They are the ones who do almost nothing, or they just do enough to keep themselves comfortable.
Yeah.
If you go back to the reptilian brain, 2 things drive us. As long as we are not hungry, and as long as we are not in danger, we won't do anything at all. We will not do anything as long as you are not hungry and there is nothing chasing us.
Yeah.
There's no one attacking you. There is no lion behind you.
You're just sitting there.
You'll be very comfortable. Yeah. So these people in middle class, these people mostly are employed, or at least maybe they have a business that gives them just enough to keep them satisfied, and create an environment whereby they'll be able to keep their own security. They don't have some surplus money that will make them think of maybe investing, or maybe if they think of investing, I guess maybe now those people of the upper middle class, they may invest, but the investments are not that big. The money that they'll get from the investments will only be enough to keep them moving. So these people, and the population of the middle class, these are the people who are educated. They know all that is going around. Yeah. These are the people that you'll find discussing politics, very serious politics.
Very serious, yeah.
Very seriously, and they'll tell you about everything that is going on. But they can't really do much. You'll find them ranting on Twitter because now they have Wi-Fi. They're connected to internet. Yeah, there is Wi-Fi. It's very comfortable. I have food, I have Wi-Fi. I have a house. I have my own room. So you'll find them on Twitter ranting.
Yeah.
They can bully you, and they'll gang up and bully somebody.
Yeah.
But when a problem comes about, for example, maybe if there's actually an issue of national importance, for example, when a corruption scandal comes along, or when something that's not good happens, something serious. So they'll talk about that issue deeply. They'll discuss it deeply on Twitter.
Yes.
And maybe on Instagram, maybe they'll mention a few things.
Yeah.
But in terms of action, my friend, you will not see anything. Because why should I do something? And yet I'm comfortable. I've eaten.
I'm comfortable, yeah.
I don't have to go and look for food. Yeah, nothing is chasing me. So who cares if somebody steals 1 million shillings from from which account?
Yeah.
Who cares if somebody steals 5 shillings from whose account?
From whose account? Oh, who cares if someone?
Yeah, of course it's a bad thing.
Yeah.
It's a bad thing. I'll go and talk about it on Twitter with some few unknown people.
Yeah.
And they're going to support me. After 2-3 days.
And I'm going to feel good.
I'll feel good because some people support me. And we share the same ideals. So after 2 days, everybody will forget about it.
Yeah.
Everybody will forget about it and they move on to the next issue. And that will be the cycle.
Yeah.
And it has been that way for, I guess, for a decade since social media kicked in around, I think, 2010, 2011. That has been the case all along. And I don't know if maybe some change is being instilled, but if it is, then we aren't really feeling it. It's supposed to be a talk-do situation whereby if you talk about something, there should be the part 2 whereby we decide now what are we going to do about it. Yeah, the actions. Now we're supposed to meet somewhere and maybe do something. If there's an issue, maybe we can talk about it on Twitter, and then we can decide and meet somewhere and do something and actually do something about it. Because at the end of the day, actions speak louder than words.
Yeah.
And Bible is a philosophical book. There's a verse somewhere in the New Testament. I don't remember which one. I mean the book and the chapter, but it says that faith without action is dead. So you can't just believe in something. You have to do something about it. And the reason why I'm blaming people from the middle class, not maybe the lower class or the first class, is because the people from the lower class don't really have much resources.
Yeah.
These are people who live mostly hand to mouth. They wake up in the morning not knowing what to do, or even if they know what to do, whatever they'll make at the end of the day, it will just be enough for that day. And they don't have surplus. They don't have anything else to sustain them. It's just whatever they do within that day. And the people from the first class, these are mostly the decision makers. These are the people who decide where the community or where the environment will go. Yeah. But if you look at when you look at the demographics of a country, you'll find that the middle class has a very big population.
Yeah.
Enough to actually make a change, but they choose not to. So I'll keep on blaming the middle class till something is done. That's a very big problem that I have with those people. Me being among them, of course. Do I do something? Do I take some actions? Yeah. So I can seclude myself from those who don't do anything about any problem.
Okay, so but there's a lot to pick on from what you've just talked about. But I think what you're describing in the middle class is something like there's this book by the Russian author Fyodor Dostoevsky. So he says that if you were to give human beings everything they wanted, so that they will have no economic worries, they will be. He describes it as they'll be sitting in a pool with bubbles of of happiness coming from the surface and nothing to do but eat cake, sleep, drink, and busy themselves with the continuation of the species. So that if you put human beings in that situation, that the next thing they will do is find something to destroy that environment that you put them in. And I think we all have that need. You talked about the predator chasing. We all have that need, that we need something to be chasing us, or something to be worrying about, or something to be fighting over. So social media now becomes, I think, if I don't know if there's a statistic on this, but the rise of social media and the expansion of the Kenyan middle class, I think it's something that's consistent with what you're saying. And also, so they go and find their conflicts on social media. So the guy came from work, he came home to maybe his boring wife, he ate food prepared by his maid, and sat there scrolling through Netflix and scrolling through Netflix is running in the background, and the guy is scrolling through Twitter. He finds the first thing that he can disagree with, and that's the immediate thing he pounces on. And I think that's what we see, and it's a very dangerous thing, because that's what we see with. I usually believe that we should use the first world as a caution. Huh? So, like that's what you see in the US with the problems they had in the last elections, the elections before that, the divisions that they're creating. So, and there's another author, what's his name? I'm forgetting his name. So he writes, he says something, Soren Kierkegaard. So he says something along the lines of that if you're all fighting towards making everything easy, then there remains only one want, except it's not yet a felt want, where we'll want things to be difficult. So that the ease becomes so great that it eventually becomes too great, that everyone will want difficulty. So people usually say these things of happiness, like I want to be happy, I want to be sitting in a comfortable house, I want to be sipping margaritas on the beach, I want to be eating cake.
People really talk about how they really want that.
Maybe when I achieve that, and then I'll be happy. But that's not the definition of happiness, I think, for human beings. I think we were meant to be going against some sort of struggle, some sort of movement towards a goal.
That's the thing.
And seeing your movement towards the goal is what happiness comes from for human beings.
Very true.
So the middle class, they're just sitting there, they don't care the way you said it, they don't care if a guy is getting mugged in River Road, and they don't
they just record,
and they don't care that someone is loaded.
If you're getting mugged, by the way, in Kakamega, if I'm within Kakamega, and I don't know you, and you're being mugged, and I'm next to you, the best I can do is record and share it on social media and rant about how mugging people in the street is very bad, and how security should be beefed up, and how the government is so reluctant on such issues.
And I think that's the difference between. I don't know if you go into the rural areas.
I want really.
So obviously, you and I grew up in a small townish. It's a big town these days, but it was a small town then.
It's grown. It's grown by now.
And we've also spent some time in some rural areas. And you can see the attitude towards and now we are obviously in Nairobi, and we're staying here, and you can see the different attitudes towards things like that, like crime and people getting mugged. In Nairobi, people just pass you.
In rural, very different.
In rural, it's very different. People
in rural, like, very different.
And I think that's why it doesn't happen.
People will stand for you.
So, actually,
and you see,
okay, go on.
There's something I can attribute that to. So, coming from a technical background, let me say something about social media. It's a good thing, by the way. I want to deny, because so many things are happening there. And one thing about human beings, where many people gather, that's where value is.
Mm-hmm.
That's where you'll find value.
I think there's a
So-
verse. I think there's a verse that's. I think I don't know if it's connected to that, but you've just said that the Bible is a
Yeah.
philosophical. So where 2 or 3 are gathered in His name, He will be in the midst.
Yeah, that's where the Lord is.
Yeah, so I think that was it. A
The Lord is in their
metaphorical
midst.
sense. The Lord is there where the 2 or 3 are gathered.
Yeah, very true. I think people need to read the Bible more. It's very deep.
Yeah,
It's very deep. It talks about things that happen today. So
Yes.
social media is a good place. If you have your business or your online business, you can advertise your goods on social media, and it will reach a vast number of people. You can reach out to someone who is popular on social media, who has got so many followers, and they can do the marketing for you at a very small fee.
I mean,
But
right
the thing is,
now we are creating content for social media.
yeah. But the thing is, people fail to forget the downside. Every good thing, there's that Chinese glyph, the Chinese glyph, that one that has got a black side and a white side.
Yeah, it's a Taoist symbol.
Yeah, exactly.
The yin and the yang.
Yeah, I guess that's how everything works. So in as much as social media is good, let me talk a bit about the downside and how it has influenced the middle class. You see, let me start with Instagram. IG is a very good place, but not for men entirely. It's a good place for the ladies, because you can post the best picture of you ever in your life, which does not exactly portray how your life is. It's just the best picture of you.
Yeah.
But the moment you post it on social media and your followers see it, they'll assume that that's how your everyday life usually is. So they're going to push some likes. They're going to share it maybe. And the moment you see that high number of likes, you feel good about yourself, because so many people like me. So many people like you. So many people like whatever you do. They like your body. But for the men, I guess that's not usually the case, because the moment a lady gets so much attention, she tends to ignore most men, because a various reason. You see, I can say that attention is the currency of men.
Is it the currency of women, or is it the currency? I think I read something. It's the currency in the feminine world, in the competition, in the mating competition among women. That attention, the person who gets the most attention has the highest value. So let's say the girl who gets the most likes, the girl who gets the most likes is obviously.
Yeah, she's the one who is the most beautiful, or the one who is the most desirable in that case. So you see, maybe you can be scrolling Instagram and you find there's this lady who is very hot, and you look at the number of likes on that picture, thousands, or some cases even hundreds of thousands. And maybe some people may decide to shoot their shot. Some vanity shot.
Yeah.
It's like you are on Mars. You're on Mars the planet, and you have a sniper, and you're trying to aim somebody who's on Earth, and you are expecting that you're going to make a headshot.
An accurate headshot.
Yeah. And you see, by the way, I was reading some article on the web. It was describing the way these apps are designed. The app Instagram is designed to be so easy to use. In fact, I think those people who make the interface, they are more philosophers. They are people who understand how human beings behave.
I think they have psychologists.
It will be so easy for you to use. Yeah,
they have psychologists.
They analyze the human behavior. They analyze the human behavior, and they try to emulate it in that app, so that when the moment you get inside the app, it is so easy to use, and it is so enticing that you'll be scrolling pictures for hours.
You are using zero brain power,
and by the time, yeah. Though as a female or maybe as a lady, you'll be happy maybe because the pictures you posted got maybe I don't know 100 or 200 likes.
Yeah.
So it gives you that dopamine. So you feel good.
Yeah, that hits.
So you stay more on the app because it's making you happy.
And you post even more pictures.
Yeah, you'll post more pictures. And but then let me tell you something.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is true, but the moment you take a picture using your phone, that picture has got the picture part of it, whatever you will see, and it has also got another part known as EXIF.
Yeah.
EXIF simply describes the data of that picture. It describes the camera that took it, the phone, the resolution, even the location.
Yeah.
So the moment you upload that picture on the internet, some sites won't remove that information. So somebody can get a picture of you on the internet, and they can know where you are while you are taking that picture. They can know the phone you use. I mean, they can harvest data about you. For the case of WhatsApp and Instagram, they say that they usually strip that data before the picture actually gets to the public.
Yeah.
But the thing is, yes, they strip it.
But where do they take it?
Do they really delete that data? Or do they store it somewhere? Nobody knows. But I'll assume they delete it. I'll assume they don't have it. But
I saw it. I think
I'll assume they don't have that data.
Sorry to cut you off, but I think it was in the documentary. I think The Social Dilemma. No. I don't think it was. It was. I think I was watching a Vipro. I think it's a Vipro documentary by the Harvard economist Shoshana Zuboff. So she was talking about this, how the big tech companies made their huge fortunes. So at some point in time, that data you're talking about was considered as trash. So it was like these people are uploading the information, but they're just loading our servers. They're loading our servers with trash data. Then they came to realize that this is actually
worthless.
This is actually what we need. This is actually the data we need.
Gold. That's the gold.
That's gold. That's where we're going to make our money, because then if I get that data, when you enter any social media platform, you sign a user agreement policy that Google can share your data with third parties. Now, third parties can be infinite third parties. Google can share it with Zoom, can share it with all companies.
Anyone, as long as they offer them money, they can share.
A third party.
And by the
then they tell you.
And by the
way, just go on.
Sorry to cut you short. And you see, by the way, Google, and the case of Google, it's a very good company, and they've got perfect products.
Yes.
Gmail, when you look at Gmail, perfect, especially on your phone, or even on the laptop, anywhere. Perfect.
It's brilliant.
YouTube, very good. Google search, you can find anything.
Google Earth.
But at what expense? You can get to wherever you want to go now because of
Maps,
Google Earth and Google Maps. You can never get lost anywhere. You can't fail to do anything nowadays because of Google. But the thing is, whatever they have done, Android is the majority operating system nowadays that is being used. Yes, but that phone, it's actually a tracking machine. It's a spy in your pocket. I guess there's a documentary that is called The Spy in Your Pocket.
Yeah.
It talks about how it talks about how that data, about how that phone is actually harvesting data from you. It's a tool that has been developed to be perfect for you, for your everyday use. Then at the same time, it also harvests your data. And you cannot opt out because, first of all, you need those services.
Yes.
Everyone uses email. University, anywhere, companies, they use emails. So you have to use email. You have to use YouTube. Maybe for academic purposes, for knowledge, entertainment, anything. maps. So you have to use these things. But you see, they usually tell you that when you're using them, we assume that you've abided by our terms.
Yes.
Of which no one. I've never met one single person who has ever told me that they have ever read terms and conditions of whichever software they use. No one has ever read.
I actually tried to read
Which one? Which one have you read?
No, I read. I don't know the latest app I installed in my phone. I don't know. I read actually terms and conditions of that app, but
I guess maybe you read maybe the first two sentences.
You know these tertiary apps. You know the ones you install in your phone later. Those are the ones I read. But you know, for these primary apps, like the way you said Gmail, because that's so. It's like you assume you're just installing it and you say, I always use this all the time. So even when I get a new phone, I don't read the user agreement. I just log in and just start using it. But then maybe let's say you get you go and download an app that has maybe, let's say, 100,000 downloads on Google Store, and maybe it's not well known. Yeah, it's kind of shady. Maybe that's a very big maybe. Someone will read the user agreement because maybe there might be something in there that's not, and you know that it's not used by a majority of the population.
Yeah, there may be something fishy.
The consequences might be a bit high. But maybe it was actually the series we were talking about it before the show. It was the series Black Mirror that probably made me try and read some user agreements because that stuff is scary. There's some things that was on that series. Yeah, one of the best series. Yeah, if you're
some things can happen.
I recommend that you go and watch it. Yeah.
Go and look for Black Mirror. It's on Netflix, by the way.
It's on Netflix. It's season 1.
It's on Netflix. Just go and search Black Mirror. You can watch it.
The episodes are independent. You can watch any episode whenever you want. But first of all, when I watched it, I couldn't believe that it was made in 2011. And the episodes are so relevant.
It looks modern.
Yeah, it looks so modern, like futuristic.
In fact, it's futuristic, and it is between futuristic and modern.
Yeah. And also there's the other one, which I think you're the one who recommended it to me. It was called Electric Dreams.
Electric Dreams is also another one.
Philip K. Dick.
Yeah, it's also an anthology, just like Black Mirror. Those episodes are independent. They're like individual movies, so you can watch in any order.
And then there's the animation. So if you like animations, there's the animation version of Black Mirror, though they're not connected, but it's called Love, Sex and Robots. Or what is it?
Love, Death and Robots.
Love, Death and Robots. Yeah, Love, Death and Robots.
Yeah, Love, Death and Robots. Yeah, it has got the same theme. Talks about technology and the downsides of tech.
Yeah.
Okay, you see, I want to try and defend these kind of Google and Facebook.
They're wonderful companies. They've done wonderful things in the world.
Yeah. You see, if not for these companies, I could not have been having this meeting with you right now.
Exactly.
And we could not have been sharing this information. Number two, you're only 1 in a billion.
Yeah.
So who cares if your data is taken? Do you even care?
Okay.
You're from maybe Bungoma or from
somewhere.
Kadui. Yeah, who cares about where and I can tell you this.
Yeah.
I can tell you this.
Yeah.
There is no person who works at Google who knows you. No one. No one knows you.
They say you're just is it a node in a network? You're just like
you're just a node,
an input to the system. You're just inputting data. There's not a person behind you. You're just a data point.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So you just ride along. Just use these services. They are very good services. Use them. No one in that company knows about you. No one knows anything about you. Unless maybe there was this case that I think maybe it was a serious one. Okay, I'm not sure of the story, but it was something about some criminal or a terrorist who the government of US wanted to ask Apple to unlock that device for them.
Mm-hmm.
But Apple said that according to the agreement with the users, that cannot happen. And the things that they do among the users and themselves, it's private. It's always kept private. So they
call it
never did that.
End-to-end encryption.
Yeah, it's end-to-end. So yeah, so after that scenario, it went viral, and actually the stock of their stock increased after that scenario.
Yeah.
Their sales went higher. So like what I'm trying to say is that in as much as we rant about privacy and I don't know our data being used for advertisement, who cares? Who cares? They'll suggest to you products that you actually need.
Yeah.
But though it's creepy because there was a story I was reading. It was of two people, and this is actually creepy. I'll describe to you three scenarios. There's some creepy scenarios, and you see these things. These suggestions are not made by people. We have got some very smart people, extremely smart PhDs and doctors who have been hired by these tech companies to create these algorithms, which suggest these things to you. So these algorithms are like robots. They are artificial intelligence. They look at your behavior because they have all that data
on you.
And they can actually know what they can know. They know more about you than you even know about yourself. So there were these two people. There was a mother who had her daughter, her teenage daughter. So the mother started to get suggestions on her on her e-commerce platform about some baby products. I don't know, baby powder or what.
Those things.
Some baby products. So she was wondering, why am I really getting all these things? So in the real sense, her daughter was actually pregnant, and these companies knew about it. They had all that data.
I think it was because the girl stopped using a certain. She changed the. I don't know if it's shampoo or perfume that she was using. So she started buying a different brand, and so those companies had correlated that with data from people who ended up buying, being pregnant. So because the olfactory senses of pregnant women are affected by are very sensitive. So the women change the products they use during that time. So the algorithm.
Yes, it makes perfect sense. You see, it is known as a recommender system. It more or less works the same with the one used by YouTube to suggest videos to you. You know, if you go inside your phone and you click on YouTube, you will find videos which you may actually like, and they're based on videos which you watched previously.
I'm definitely guilty for that. You know, I had to place a system on my phone to limit my time on YouTube because I would spend about 4 hours.
Yeah, you will find yourself scrolling, and
because it's just another rabbit hole. So say you start watching a video.
Yeah, you go deep, and the next video they'll suggest it's something that you actually like. So it is a recommender system. They associate products with other products. They assume that if you've brought product A, then you are like other people who've also bought product A, and these other people bought product B. So if you bought product A, then you must be like other people. So you must also you must also maybe need product B.
Is it called a Venn diagram? There's a Venn diagram. You know about it? The three circles.
Where so they intersect somewhere.
So where they intersect. So and there's
it's something
the center
of that
where
sort.
All the three circles intersect. That's the goal that Google wants. That center where they get the most people.
Yeah, that's what they're targeting. So, that's what they actually make money from that spot. So since this girl was in the same network with the mother was able to know. She was able to get some information which was just very fishy. And then there was this second scenario. Now let's go over to Facebook. So you see Facebook when if you get into Facebook, I think also Instagram, it will tell you about people you may know.
Yeah, I got into Instagram
And
recently. I got into Instagram recently.
Yeah, if you actually scroll that list, if you scroll that list, there are actually people that you may know.
Yes.
And there are actually people that you know.
You do know.
You are just not friends on Facebook. Yeah, you actually know these people. So it's also an algorithm, and it's very deep. It's good the way it works. It's linked to your contacts. It's linked to some other networks. These companies, they share data.
Yeah.
So it's linked to some data from some other company. It's a perfect algorithm. It is made to display to you a list of people that you actually know.
And right now, that Meta, that company Meta it has how many? It is so it's WhatsApp, Instagram, Facebook, and I'm sure
so
there's someone who is on the.
There are more than 20 of them.
You must be on a minimum of at least one app in those. Let's say a person aged between the age of 13 and let's say 35 in Kenya.
Yeah.
Is on a minimum of at least one of those apps, or has come into contact with one of those apps. Okay, obviously there are other people who live where there's no like network and stuff, but yeah, those are minority.
Yeah, you have to get on at least one of those apps. So So I was talking about there is normally a confidentiality agreement between sex workers and their clients. Like no one really has to know the other person's name or their real identity. You just meet, you do your stuff,
so
you make the transaction, and everyone goes their way.
Are these the online escorts, or which one are you talking about? Like the obviously you're not talking about the ones in Koinange or River Road.
I'm actually talking about those ones.
Those ones.
I'm talking about those ones. Those ones. So, though I'm not talking about Kenya, it was some other country. Yeah, so there was this scenario whereby this guy, he had just finished his business with this lady that he had met somewhere. Though they didn't know each other. No names had been exchanged, nothing. So I guess maybe they started to form a connection just that very day. So they talked and talked. After some time, they decided maybe we should exchange numbers. So this girl gave her number to this guy. So this guy told her, maybe I'll call you some other time. So the guy went away. After some time, he goes to his Facebook, and the first thing he sees on the list of people you may know is the name of that girl. The real name of that girl has been displayed under people you may know. So the guy actually he sends a request to this lady. And the lady sees that request, and he was wondering, how is this creepy? I thought that we are not supposed to share our information with our clients, but for some reason, Facebook has actually pushed this person to me, and this person actually knows me and he knows my identity. She actually filed a lawsuit against the company. Okay, I don't know if she won. I don't know how that story went. Yeah, but that was actually it's a real thing that happened. I guess it's in the US because that's where they normally pay so much attention to such issues.
Yeah, such issues. Yeah, that's serious stuff.
So I guess that's how maybe I guess maybe if it has touched you that way, then now it becomes a bad thing. But in the general sense, we should just use these services that they built for us for free. This data, after 70 years, will all be dead, and it won't even affect you.
Okay, so so the engine was invented in what, is it the 18th century? Okay, the automobile. But the laws on seatbelts were actually introduced late in the 20th century. That's when people realized, we need to keep people safe. And also, the engine was invented a long time ago, and right now it's the only time that people are taking caution on, let's say, things like greenhouse gases that come from exhaust fumes in engines. And this is almost a lot of time has gone by. and that is, and now they're saying that the greenhouse gases are such a serious consequence that it's climate change is irreversible. So
Yeah.
I think the consequences of social media are being felt at this time and will continue to be felt. They were saying that it's like you're one person trying to fight against an algorithm which has an enormous computing power. You can't win.
You'll never win.
With data
will...
from billions of other people whom they are learning from.
You can't win, man. You cannot win.
You people think that you are just fighting against Mark Zuckerberg. No, it's not Mark Zuckerberg. If Mark Zuckerberg dies today, the Facebook algorithm will continue on, and the shareholders in Facebook will
go on, my friend. Facebook is not going anywhere.
We'll make sure that it becomes a successful business year in, year out. So this algorithm is learning.
Facebook.
Go on.
Yeah, and you see, these algorithms, they learn from data, first of all. And the more data they have, the better they'll perform, and the more perfect they will be.
And the more they improve themselves.
You will never win. Yeah, you will never win. In fact, there's something known as the singularity. There's something known as the technological singularity. Though it's a hypothetical event, but it describes a situation whereby. So you see, first of all, technology is advancing in terms of artificial intelligence and stuff. So it's going to reach this point whereby this machine, this algorithm that is learning everything about us, it's going to reach a point whereby it will be self-improving. It will improve, then it will become better and better, and it's going to be a recursive process until it will reach a point whereby we will not even understand. We won't even be able to understand it.
Yeah. And I think that's the danger. That's the biggest danger. I think it's one of the most interesting things about tech that I came across and I'm interested in, because it's like if you could make an algorithm, because I think the challenge right now is making an algorithm that rewrites itself. So so I don't know, because you're the tech guy here, so I don't know if there's just that already, that an algorithm that writes itself, improve itself over time. It will improve itself. I think it was something, I think I was seeing, it was, I think Elon Musk on Joe Rogan podcast or someone. I don't know who it was. Elon Musk or Snowden, I don't know. He was saying that it will improve itself 1,000 times. Then the next time it will improve itself 1,000 more times. So that's 1,000,000 times. Like if you left it running tonight, and you told it your sole goal is to improve yourself, it will improve itself.
But by the time it will reach midnight,
it has improved itself so much that you can't even recognize it from the original code that you'd written.
Yeah, that's true. And if it was an algorithm that was producing some output, by the time it will reach midnight, the output that it will be producing, it will be something that you won't be able to comprehend. Maybe it will just say one number, maybe one.
Yeah.
It will tell you one, and maybe that one that's telling you, it's a solution to some problem that is it is of astronomical levels. So I was looking at something from a technological point of view. There's something known as the halting problem. It's in computer science we have problems, and a problem is a situation that needs an algorithm developed in order to solve it. For example, you may want, in simple terms, you may want maybe to cook an egg. That is a problem that you have. So you will come up with a series of steps that you will take in order to have a cooked egg. So your final product will be a cooked egg. So you'll come up with a function that has some inputs, maybe the egg, maybe the heat and whatever.
The water and
then the output, and then the output will be the cooked egg. Yes. So we have something known as the halting problem. The halting problem describes it's an algorithm that you can code it Okay, I don't know if you can code it. It's a hypothetical algorithm that its input is other algorithms. So you give it another algorithm as input, and it will tell you whether that algorithm will halt, whether it will come to an end, or it will.
So
yes, whether it will halt.
By halting or coming to an end, you're saying it will meet its goal. It will meet it. It will get its outcome.
Yes. Okay. Yes. Yeah. So if it will come to a halt, it will give you 1 or true. That's how they are described in computer science. So 1 or true, it may be described as a positive. Then 0 or false may be described as maybe a negative. So it gives you two. It has got 2 types of output. So you give it an algorithm. If it gives you true, it means that the input you gave it will halt. The algorithm, if it is run, it will halt. If it gives you a false or a 0, it means that the algorithm that you gave it, it will keep on going forever. It won't halt. So the issue comes whereby, what if this algorithm, you feed it itself? So it's an algorithm. So it qualifies to be its own input.
Its own input. Yeah.
So what will happen at that point? Yeah, that's a problem that it has actually never been solved. No one knows. It's what? It's a paradox.
Yeah, paradox. Yeah.
It's a paradox. It will go either way. So coming back to this singularity issue of AI, I'm of the idea whereby, it's normally in this generation, you have got 2 groups. In every scenario, you have 2 groups. We have science versus religion.
Yeah.
Vaccination versus no vaccination. Black versus white. Yeah. It's one versus the other. So in the same scenario, you have got people who believe that this AI, it will be malevolent. Then some group believes it will be a good thing. It will help us. It's meant to support us the way it's doing right now.
Yeah.
So
it will be the service of humankind.
Yeah, and not the master.
The master
come to enslave us. So you said there's something you said about coding this algorithm that its goal is to improve itself, write its own code. I'm sure that when it reaches that 12 that you are talking about, that 12 p.m. or 12 a.m. that you're talking about, that algorithm will have reached a point that it will be able to solve that halting problem.
Yeah.
Even if you feed it itself, it will be able to tell you whether it will run forever, or it will halt. If you think about it, I've only described the tip of the iceberg. It's a very deep thing when you actually go some levels deep. It's something very fucked up. Okay.
No problem.
So,
we'll edit that out.
You'll work on that. Yeah, it's something very deep. It's something very deep. I'm of the idea that AI is actually going to help us. It's not going to be malevolent. They've designed some movies like you see the Terminator, whereby they portray AI as something that is going to eliminate us.
The latest I can remember off my head, a famous movie, Avengers: Age of Ultron. So the world is tired of Avengers, and now Iron Man and the Hulk, they design an AI that would its goal. But then we'll be talking about the goal. Its goal is world peace.
Yes.
So how do we how do we create world peace? Well, the AI found out that it's so simple. Just eliminate humans. And
that was something. And you see, by the way, it's an allusion to a real world occurrence.
Yeah.
Something happened whereby there was a programmer who created an artificial intelligence that was supposed to cure cancer. Its goal was to give a solution to cancer. So he asked the algorithm, how can we cure cancer? the algorithm told him that the solution is, since cancer is in humans, if you want to eliminate cancer, simply eliminate humans. So
like,
the movie was an allusion from that scenario, by the way. It's a real world event.
It's like
it actually happened.
You have asked me a question. I'm very. There's no emotion in it. You've asked me a question. I'm giving you the simplest route to that question, and it's eliminate humans.
Frank. And you see, by the way, and you see the very bad thing about computer science is that it's too logical.
Yeah, it's ones and zeros.
It's ones and zeros. It tends to find the shortest path, the simplest way to do things, because you see, things have to be optimal. So it tries to find the most optimal solution to a problem. It's a field that has got very many assumptions. They think on a very logical level and without taking so many things into account. But I guess that may be compensated by the data that they collect from people, because you see the data. When you train artificial intelligence on data, the data will give it a perspective. It will give it a perspective.
Almost like so for the people who are listening who are not like tech savvy, it's almost like a room within to work with.
Yes,
like it gives it, okay, so now work within this group.
Yeah, it gives it some bounds, some limit.
Yeah.
So instead of just giving logical solutions like eliminate humans, it may maybe think of some other thing, like maybe since humans are good people or they are good organisms, you can do this instead of just eliminating humans, because you see the robots, they don't really care about humans, because so I was thinking to solve this debate about whether it will be malevolent or it will be a good thing. I think it will be a good thing, because the data that is trained on is basically based on real human beings, people who actually exist or who maybe existed. So it won't make any decision that is against whatever it's been trained on. Plus, number two, no one has ever created that algorithm that is able to write its own code and improve itself. If you write that, you become a trillionaire overnight.
Maybe the algorithm takes
trillions.
Maybe the algorithm takes over. Have you seen the season 2 of Love, Death and Robots?
Yeah, I've seen season 2. There's something that
when the yogurt took over, I think that episode it's called something like that.
Yeah, it's known as that way. That episode, it's a very short episode, by the way.
Yeah,
I don't know, it's
4
around
minutes.
6 minutes.
6 minutes or something. Yeah.
It's a very short episode, or maybe it's 2 minutes. I don't remember. It's a very short episode, but it talks about that exact.
What were we talking about?
Yeah, things that may happen when artificial intelligence, and if you talk about artificial intelligence, people think that there are those robots. I don't know. You talk to something. Artificial intelligence is already. It's already here. By the way,
yeah.
It is already here. When you go to Gmail, there are some emails that you don't get because they've been categorized as spam. That is not somebody's job. There's nobody who is behind your account doing that for you.
There's no one who's sitting at Google.
There's no one behind Google who is looking at your account. This email is a bad one. Let me put it in this folder.
Then he goes and waits for a paycheck at the end of the month. And that was one of the reasons why those companies made so much money, because they have so little human capital. They just need a team of like 10 guys to write a code, proper code. Then that code just starts working. It's uploaded, then it starts working. Then maybe there's one guy who comes to maybe correct something, maybe when
a few issues here and there. That always happens.
And that's a one guy. So there's no one that's looking at you. You see these memes of me. I don't know, me texting my crush, then the FBI agent listening to my conversation or looking at my conversation.
It doesn't happen that way.
Even if FBI had the capacity to look at everyone's, they can't look at everyone's sleep. And I think we'll come back to that in terms of, you're talking about that case in US where the person sued sued Apple. That the government wanted information on someone. and
Yeah.
they wanted and I was thinking, and I saw someone posted it. If so, Google Maps is a GIS, and GPS is a US military technology, and
Yes, exactly.
several other things have been developed by several militaries in the world, and now they're being used by in the civilian world. So
Yes, I can talk
if
about, for example, Tor,
Tor,
just to cut it short.
the Tor browser, what are you talking about?
Yeah, the Tor network,
Yeah, Tor
the
network.
dark web.
Yeah.
Yeah, that architecture
Mm.
and that system, the whole of it,
Mm.
it was designed by the NSA, the National Security
Agency. Yeah.
Yes, which is an organization of the US government.
Mm-hmm.
So in as much as you think you're anonymous, maybe, who knows? Okay, I don't know. Maybe, who knows? Because those have got, that organization has got the smartest people in the world, and they've got the best technology ever.
I think they when graduates come from, I don't know, it was Harvard or something. The number one,
Yes.
the number one place where you get the offered the highest amount of money, it's not Google or Apple, it's the NSA. Come and work for the NSA. Then you'll be saying, I just work in maybe some offices in Washington or something. I just look, no one ever knows where you are, where you're working from. And so imagine the things they have. If that's what they allow us to have, for us to use, and we see it as just such powerful technologies that
very, very high end. What about what they don't let us see?
What about what they don't let us see? And someone was saying maybe those guys are like maybe 20, 30 years ahead. In some way, they could be 20, 30 years ahead.
I can bet my money on that.
Yeah, they could be 20, 30 years
on that. And in fact, let me try and get a bit more technical and talk about some current affairs in terms of tech. Bitcoin. Everybody talks about Bitcoin. It's everywhere. In fact,
I think that's a nice topic to go to. Yeah.
70% of peer-to-peer transactions of Bitcoin all over the world were made by Kenyans. 70%.
Seriously?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
So it's actually something that is
Kenyans we're really ruling that space.
Yes, Kenyans are into cryptocurrency. So let me tell you one thing. First of all, the developer of Bitcoin is not known. It's just Satoshi Nakamoto.
Satoshi Nakamoto, some guy, random guy who wrote a paper. He actually wrote a paper.
Yeah, it was a paper. No one really knows whether it's one person or it's an organization. So you see that idea, it's actually the security part of it. And the reason why they say that Bitcoin is secure is because of the maths. The security, it's actually based on maths. Some very simple maths when you look at it.
Yeah, it was just what he wrote on his paper.
Some encryption system that is based on maths.
It was something.
So the thing is, the algorithm that Satoshi used to secure Bitcoin, that algorithm was created by NSA. It was created by NSA. And you see, we had some critics who actually analyzed that algorithm, and they found out that there actually may be a possibility of a backdoor. That we may have some, for example, in layman's language, see, maybe you can set some password on your phone to unlock your screen and use your phone. So by a backdoor, in simple terms, to be very, very simple, it can be like a master key, whereby it's a master password, whereby if it's on techno phones, I've got a master password whereby I can just input on anyone's phone and it will work. Even if it's not your real password that you used. You can have a master one.
It's master key basically.
Yes, some people analyze this algorithm that was used by Bitcoin, and they found out that it's actually vulnerable to a backdoor. And NSA are the ones who made this algorithm. They say that if you have to use this algorithm, these are the specifications. These are the most secure things that you can do in order to make whatever that you are making more secure. So we all use Bitcoin everywhere, but nobody really knows. You see, we have got some very deep secrets in terms of tech. As you were saying, these people may be 20 to 30 years ahead in terms of us. I mean, ahead of us in terms of tech.
Yeah.
Though for me as a normal user, as a normal internet user, I'll assume that there's no backdoor, and I'll assume that there are good people who are looking out for us.
Absolutely.
So I'll just use Bitcoin as a I'll just use Bitcoin as a normal user. I'll trade on it. If the time comes, maybe I'll use it to buy some things where it will apply. I'll not think about whether there's a backdoor or not. So as you were saying, that was just a parting shot.
Yeah.
Because it was based on whatever we're talking about.
Yeah, and we were talking about the backdoors, and there's something about just before I go on. I think I have a book here that I read. It's Dan Brown's. It's called the Digital Fortress. I don't know. Because of the mirror, I think you'll see it's not the correct wording. It's inverted, but the Digital
I'm
Fortress.
actually seeing it clearly.
The Digital Fortress by Dan Brown. It's a very good book on the NSA. And it was written in early 2000. I don't know. It was somewhere
in early 2000s. Yet I'm sure it touches about.
It touches about NSA. It is 1990, copyright 1998 by Dan Brown. So it's a good novel for people who like Dan Brown thrillers. From Dan Brown wrote the Da Vinci Code and Angels and Demons. It's a good
Angels and Demons. I've read Angels and Demons.
Yeah, it describes a lot about.
I think I should read that book.
It's a good book. You can come for it, but I think it's being sold in Tao. You can go to Tao and buy it. But okay, so it talks about an unbreakable code, and how the NSA first started developing codes during I don't know, it was during the Cold War, on how to break. They could. And I think that's the modern menu of AI. They could break down enemy information by looking at trends in the code that they were using to transmit. So if they use RB7, let's say this time, if I can go and check in all the communications and check if a common R is used, then I can know R means this, then I can correlate it to a message at this time. And this was being done by, I think they're called cryptographers. These people are doing it with their minds, like these smart geniuses who are doing this with their minds, and it's brilliant. So you're talking about a normal person, like you're a normal person, you don't care about, you might not care about where your data goes, but there was this issue with Huawei. I'm sure you heard of it. It was, I think, before COVID, when they were launching the 5G. So Huawei have the best.
Excuse me a bit. Just a bit. I think I need to make some people. I'm sorry for this. Just before you talk about
Huawei, no problem.
You've mentioned something about cryptography, right? And there's something that people don't know. I'm sure most people actually in the technical field don't know about this. The cryptography that is being used nowadays to secure websites. You see, in 2010 we used to have HTTP. Now we have HTTPS. So something happened. That S actually stands for security. And the security behind that.
So do you know what the whole thing stands for? For just for information of for the benefit of our viewers or our listeners. The HTTPS.
Or you want me to describe about that S?
No, like the whole thing, so that they know why the S is there. So because let's just say,
okay.
Every time you go to a website.
So this is HTTP. I'm trying to talk to you right now.
Yeah.
So now let's assume that we are in a room and we are trying to talk. You will hear whatever I'm saying and you'll understand it. Maybe it's in English or it's in whichever language that we are that you're talking. So it will be simple. I'm talking English, you are speaking English, we are understanding each other. So we can try and increase the distance between us. So, as we increase the distance, it may give room for someone to stand in between and listen to whatever we are talking. Yeah. Someone who understands English will be able to tell that maybe I'm telling you A, and maybe you reply with B. He'll be able to tell. So that was HTTP. If I'm talking to some bank, and the bank responds, I'm talking to a bank and the bank responds. Somebody in between was able to know that I'm saying these things, I'm sending this information to this bank, and the bank is saying this. So it was very insecure.
Yeah, it wasn't end-to-end encrypted.
Yeah, everything was in the public. Yes, you could have seen everything. So this it was the security that came. If I'm to send something to the bank, I first of all encrypt it. I turn it into gibberish. Using a formula that you also understand. Yeah. I will turn it into some gibberish, and I'll send you that gibberish.
Like
so that somebody who's in the middle, some random things that somebody in the middle want to be able to understand. So when you receive that gibberish, since you know that formula, you'll be able to translate that gibberish into something that into the original message actually. So and that formula is usually it's usually described at the start of our conversation. Before we start speaking to each other, we will decide on which formula that we will use. And that formula is usually made in such a way that the person in the middle won't be able to know what the formula is. It's a very simple thing, but it actually works and it's very secure. But on the other hand, it's actually not secure.
Yeah.
It is based on, or in simple terms, it's based on prime numbers. You see, for example, you can multiply 3 by 5. It gives you 15.
Yeah.
But if I give you that, if I give you 15, and I ask you to give me the original numbers that were used in order to come up with that 15. Okay, maybe for 15, it may be a simple number.
Yeah.
So, it may be a simple number because 3 times 5 is 15. But 15. For big prime numbers, you'll not be able to tell. For example, I can give you a 7-digit number. For example, 5, 6, 9, 8, 2, 1, 3. And I tell you, for that number, which two numbers were used, which two numbers were multiplied to come up with that number. You can't tell. There's no formula that can be used to factorize those numbers into the 2 that were used to come up with that. So that was used to come up with a formula that secures the internet.
Yeah.
And the thing is, if you can be able to come up with that formula, you can be able to crack the internet. And it will be worth millions of dollars. So anyone in the technical field, please take this into account because it's something that I think people need to work on. And for the sake of the internet, nowadays everything is online. Or rather, most things are done online. So I'm sure maybe we may have some people who have already done this maybe somewhere and they're just exploiting it. So for the sake of the security of the internet and for the future of our generations, and for your own bank account, if you're in the technical field, please look into this because yes, it's something that it's actually helpful. So I cut you short. You were talking about some data about Huawei and
so that's some good advice for those guys in tech. And I know most of them. I have a healthy number of them in my contact list. I'll be sure to tag them on this. Yeah, I was talking about Huawei, and Huawei is the biggest Chinese manufacturer. And yes. people just think that Huawei, in Kenya mostly, people know Huawei as the phone company.
Yeah, it's just a phone.
It's just a phone company.
They just think that it's a phone.
It's just a phone. They're making phones. But Huawei is, and it's actually a a company subsidized by the Chinese, partly owned, partly state-owned. So it's given the best resources by the Chinese government, and it's funded by the Chinese government partly, and they make military and civil network connections. So they were the first ones to come up with the 5G, right? And their connections are the best in the world in terms of efficiency of connectivity and also price. Like they usually say in China, trust the Chinese to make you something so cheap, but it still works. So the governments in the world needed to upgrade their systems to 5G, military and civil systems, government systems. And but in the agreements, and this is why China, US was, during Trump's time, US was very against Huawei. China installed a backdoor, and they don't hide it. They install a backdoor in Huawei's system because it's a Chinese company.
They will tell you in your terms and conditions. They will tell you in the terms and conditions that we've actually done this.
Yeah, we've installed a backdoor to this system. So the payoff, the payoff for, so you get a good system that works, but there's a chance that China will take your data. Will mine your data. So all the countries in Europe and the EU, they were willing to take that deal. So we'll get a cheap system that works efficiently and manages our system properly.
At the expense of the data.
At the expense of data. But US had obviously had a difficult time to accept that because they know the risk that China poses in terms of data. And it was interesting because what China does in terms of data collection, I was listening to this guy on Joe Rogan. He's a former CIA agent. These days he writes books, and I think he has a show. I can't remember his name, but he was talking about the way US does its clandestine operations, so secret operations. So the CIA guys and the spies and spy work, for layman language, spies, majasusi.
Those operations.
So what US does, it will target a specific target. So like you are Lih Ingabo, you're going to go to Russia, you're going to do this and this and this. This is your specific target. But China, because they have the manpower to do it, they just do general targets until when they get the information they want. So he was giving an example where a kid can be taken from China to the US, installed as an asset, taken through years and years of school. He goes through high school and goes to Harvard, continues doing his master's, doing his research until the time when he's activated. So what the US does is
now to do the real stuff that you're supposed to do.
Taken there, and he might not even be activated. So they're willing to play the long game. So the US is like they make an agent, a proper agent, then they send that agent to do and to extract X and X information. For China, you're just staying there, and you will until when you get activated. It's when you, and they're doing the same thing in the cyber network. So they have people who are working just mining data. What they do, they don't mine specific data. They don't look like, okay, we want user Lih Ingabo to get his data. So they just mine the data of all Kenyans, and then we'll sift through all this data and we'll find our gold within all this mud. But the US will take time to build an algorithm to go and look for that specific data, user data. And that was the threat that this guy was saying that China has, and what US should stay on guard about. And I think so. It's an interesting way. China launched that. Was it a 20? What was it? It was something. It's like their own version of Vision 2030. So in that version, in their, it's called something about the dream or something. And they were talking about how China will be the superpower of the world at that time. I think it was 2027. No, it wasn't 20. It was 20 something years. Where China will be the supreme superpower. And so I maybe we could I can get some thoughts. So what do you think about
yes.
China? And because we're doing so much business with them, we're one of the African countries who are doing so much business with them, and we're using their phones.
Okay, China is a can of worms.
Yeah, if we open it, we would be here till midnight.
Okay, it's a can of worms and it's a rabbit hole.
Yeah.
So I'll talk about two things concerning China.
I think we can talk about the tech bit, maybe another thing. We've talked a lot about tech. We should go to something else. But yeah, just go on.
I'll talk about tech just a little bit. Then I'll talk about some other stuff concerning China. So in terms of tech, there is you've talked about the way China it funds these companies, the likes of Huawei, the likes of Huawei. There is also the app, this app known as WeChat.
Yeah,
it's the Chinese version of.
And
it's the Chinese version of WhatsApp.
I also forgot about TikTok, which is the preferred social network of high schoolers these days. And I think, okay, sorry for cutting you off, but I think TikTok is the I don't know what do you call it? It's the optimally improved social media app at the moment. They cracked everything from all social media platforms and they put it in one thing.
And they put all of it together.
And it's so good that other platforms copied what they had done. So they took the videos.
And you see, I need to tell you something about.
Yeah.
I need to tell you something on that note. You know, every country has got its own middle class.
Yeah.
The Chinese middle class, it's made up of, I think, I'm not sure, but it's over 300 million people. That is greater than the whole population of
the US,
of the States.
Yeah.
Yes. The middle class alone. And you know, the middle class, these are people who actually embrace technology.
Yeah.
And who actually use these apps, the likes of TikTok, the likes of WeChat. So the Chinese, they've got a technology known as deep packet inspection, which is used by their government to censor what people talk about. And you know, it's automated.
Yeah.
So it's actually been made to filter out certain keywords so that when somebody tries to talk about something negative about the government,
the party,
it's filtered out and either it's blocked from the public. The Communist Party, that's how it's known as. When someone tries to talk about something negative about the Communist Party, it's filtered out from the public. And in some cases, even this person is summoned and they are charged. And you know, you are charged from your WeChat account. There's no meeting any police or something.
Yeah.
This app is universal to them. It's used to make payments, chats, communications, applications, anything that you want to do only with the government, you do through WeChat. Yeah, so okay, that's enough about tech. I think we've talked much about tech.
Okay, just before
let's talk more about
just a little bit. There's an idea I had in a movie that I want to say. I don't know if it's true. I did it in the movie The Social Network, the movie covering Facebook, the foundation of Facebook. So when it's starting, the guy playing Mark Zuckerberg says, you know that there are more people with genius IQ in China than there are people of any kind in the United States. So just to put into perspective, just how China is and
China. China is a very lucky country because their best resource is actually their population.
Yes, human capital.
First of all, it provides it provides labor. So in as much as they want to industrialize, they will always have labor. And these people, first of all, they are learned. They're learned people. So they'll always know what to do, the right thing to do. Second of all, they've got the market. They can produce they can make their own products and sell them to their own people. remember people who embrace technology and new things are people from middle class, because these are people who actually follow trends and they want to go with the trend and do whatever other people are doing. So they can make their own products and they can actually sell to their own people. And remember that the middle class is actually bigger than the whole population of USA. So if they want to create an algorithm that maybe will recognize your own face, they can do it because they've got enough people.
Enough people to work with.
They can train. They can do whatever they want to do.
And also that.
And then
you're talking about the middle class and the amount of people who are there, and the people. The Chinese market is so attractive to companies, and I'm sure you've seen this, that Hollywood movies and the companies, they're making their movies in a way that's targeting the Chinese people. And for you to sell something to the Chinese people, you have to everything you do must be in conformity with the party, the Chinese Communist Party.
Yes.
So that's what they're changing actors in movies, they're changing facts in movies, they're making China look like this, the superpower in movies. So it's an interesting bit. And also the NBA, also everyone wants a piece of the Chinese market. And I don't know if you watch South Park. You watch South Park?
I've watched a few episodes. I've watched, I think, season 1. So.
Okay, you should watch season 23. So the character Randy Marsh, he starts a company, a weed company, and so he figures out. So his company is losing money, and so if he thinks, how am I going to save my company? So I think, I was just sitting there, and I thought there are a billion people in China, and if I only sell due to 10% of those people, we'll make millions in my company. So he goes to China.
Yes, that's how China operates.
And tries to sell his weed to China. And he gets taken to. It's a long story. He gets taken to those camps, and he almost gets executed. But yeah, this was just something you were saying about the middle class of China, who a few years ago they were all just rice farmers, and there were no cars.
They were farmers. Most of them were rural people. I thank the past 2 previous governments, because they were the ones who actually invested in development, and they decided to lift most people from poverty. So actually,
are you talking about the Chinese government?
Yes, because I think those things were done by the government. Were they not done by the government?
They were done by the government, yes. So do you think that they call it communism with Chinese characteristics? Do you think, which I just think it's just a hybrid of capitalism? Do you think that?
Yeah, it's a hybrid. It's a very. Yeah. I think we should embrace that actually.
That's actually what I wanted to talk about. Is it can it work? Is it a workable? Is it an applicable and workable system for development?
Yes. Yeah, it's we can see. We can all see, and we all have an example of China. China is a country that has got almost 2 billion people. And you see, it's a single country that has got a mixture of capitalism and communism, and it has worked for them very well, perfectly. They're almost the best economy in the world. So I think maybe we should borrow that idea. In as much as maybe we love capitalism, in Africa, you can say it just hasn't worked for us.
Yeah.
We all see what is happening in terms of.
But it worked for.
I don't want to talk about that, but it worked for which country?
Yeah, no, capitalism. It worked for Kenya. Compare Kenya to its neighbors.
Yeah, capital.
Obviously, we were the most capitalistic. Go on.
Do you know why it worked for Kenya? I think it worked for Kenya because I think Kenya had stability. If you compare Kenya to other countries, we have got the fewest number of leaders. I mean, in terms of presidents.
Mhm.
So with stability comes peace. Then okay, prosperity will follow and such stuff.
Except for the few months where we go for elections, and then everything stops.
Except those periods.
Then
For
after that,
about 2 to 3 months.
I love it how
Before and after.
Yeah, I love how people just go into a different mood. I think so. Right now it's elections in August. So when you're heading to July,
they forget about the default states.
Then immediately when you get to January, then we are all brothers and we work towards nation building, and then we work extremely hard until the next time we get to our election.
Exactly. Yes.
So imagine if we could just solve that.
That's how it happens.
If we could just solve that small bit, that few months where in countries people say, you look at countries like maybe the first world countries, and the election is just a day. It's just elections are happening today. Let's vote.
A single day, and they forget about anything.
But it was ironical when you saw. I don't know if you're following the two previous US elections, and the clashes that were there.
I guess I followed them.
Yeah, the clashes that were there between the Democrats and the Republicans, where they. So the people are saying that it was ironical that US goes into these countries to promote democracy, and yet in their own country, people are fighting in the streets.
Yeah, people actually have clashes.
So that's an interesting point. You were talking about something about China outside of tech. I don't know if you made that point.
Yes, exactly. China compared to African countries, China is a very rich country, extremely rich, orders of magnitude richer than Kenya. And that's why maybe you find most leaders, they opt to go for loans because they're easy to get loans. Chinese banks will just give you loans, man.
And I hear they give
no
background checks, no nothing, no questions asked.
Nothing.
Because I think the IMF have a strict policy on how they give loans. Like
IMF have got a very strict policy. Yes, it's true. IMF have got a they have a stricter policy compared to what China offers. China only asks you to repay that amount within maybe a certain period of time. If you fail, there's the collateral. Just the same way banks work. If you fail to pay your loan, maybe there's whatever we listed as the collateral. So they'll come and take that and try to provide value. I mean, try to extract value from that until it reaches the amount that you borrowed, and maybe with the interest or something.
So I think you can give an example of, I think in Kenya, so that people get an understanding of that.
I'll locally talk about another country.
Okay, so for it was Uganda gave their airport, Entebbe Airport, as a collateral for China. And I don't know if it's Zambia. Zambia also gave a port or something.
Yeah. I wanted to talk about those. It actually happens that way. Don't know about Uganda. Did they really give it, or it's still something?
I don't know. Maybe it was in they haven't handed it over to the church, but it was in a contract.
The point is actually that's how it's supposed to go.
And I think
they are supposed to hand over that international airport to China.
And I think there's some time
if they
before
fail to pay.
Sometime before, people wanted the president Uhuru to disclose the contents of the SGR contracts, and they've never disclosed.
It was classified.
It almost classified that. So people are wondering what has been put up as collateral.
There are rumors. There are rumors that the port of was it the port of Lamu or the port of Mombasa that was offered as collateral?
I think it's Mombasa, because Lamu is being constructed right now by the Japanese. It's being renovated as part of the Lapset corridor project. I think it was Mombasa.
It was the port of Mombasa. There are rumors that it was included as collateral. If maybe we defaulted to pay the SGR Chinese loan. And you know, the funny thing is that there is somewhere I read, okay, I'm not sure, but I read that after SGR was constructed, the first year it actually made 26 billion loss.
Seriously?
Yeah.
That was when it was doing all that.
Think.
It had all that hype about it. You know, people were going on this at that time.
Yeah, during that period, it was making losses. Now something to some food for thought. You see, in Africa we've got all these big debts. When you look at the Uganda, Kenya, maybe all these third world places, the debts are actually outstanding. It's some amount that the citizens don't even know if it will ever be paid in their lifetime. I think it's more because it's because of mostly mismanagement. Because I want to take an example of Uganda.
Before you go, I saw a tweet today from a guy called Charles Onyango Obo. I think he's a journalist in Uganda. So the tweet was showing a picture of the top 10 top 10 countries in Africa who owe debt. Yeah, I think Kenya was number 3 or something. And the top 50 countries in the world who owe debt. I think the top 25. Then Kenya, there was no African country in the top 25 countries. US was the number 1 country which owed debt.
Yes.
But I think the question is always, this debt, yes, you owe someone money, but how much money are you making? Obviously, GDP per capita and numbers like that. So yes, the US is the highest defaulter in debt, but how much money are they making? Yes. I think that's the question for African countries. That's why it's so hard for us to pay those debts and for us to get more loans, because we don't produce as much as we consume. So I think you were talking about Uganda something on the debt.
Yes, I wanted to talk about something about Uganda because let me take you back to the eras of Idi Amin. You know, Idi Amin was once the president of Uganda, and he ruled that country for I guess almost 12 years. It was 11 years, I guess something. So you see, he was a president who actually ousted somebody from power. He overthrew somebody, but that does not stop him from asking for a loan from some other country, maybe China or something. So if maybe this first world country X is approached by some third world country Y for a loan, it will see that this is a third world country, and I'm talking about China. I'm assuming that this first world country is China. So they just give them a loan because they don't care whatever you're going through and whatever is going through, whatever is going on in your country. So in as much as maybe this money will be mismanaged by the government, which is mostly controlled by the president. I'm talking about the times of I'm talking about the times of Idi Amin, because he was
and there are like similar countries, there are 54 countries in Africa, so there are similar countries that are going through that same thing.
It's
right now, like totalitarian.
The funny thing about humanism is that humanity is that we tend to do the same thing. So you find that these things are replicated all over so many countries in Africa. I think most of them, especially Sub-Sahara. So you find that this tyrant will take this money and he'll mismanage. He'll use this money for his own benefit and maybe for the benefit of his kith and kin, his friends. And he'll expect maybe the taxpayers to pay this debt. So this debt will amount. So in the long run, you as a taxpayer, you'll have to bear that burden. And I think there's this book which was written by some author. She's known as Dambisa Mboyo. I don't know if you can.
Yeah, Dambisa Mboyo, Dead Aid. Why aid is not working.
And how
there's another way for Africa.
Yeah.
I've seen it. Yeah.
This book simply describes those situations in which we don't need that foreign aid. We can, you see, Africa in general as a continent has got the most resources as compared to any other country in the world.
And
That is number one.
yeah, and not even
Number
if
two.
you can just take one country
Yes.
like DRC Congo.
Yes.
It has the most resources more than any other country in the world.
Yes. Number two, to add on that, African countries are the only countries in the world, fewest countries in the world that have been able to deal with many tribes living in one country.
True.
Just go to Europe.
True.
Every tribe is its own country.
Yeah, true.
Every tribe is its own country.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Though if you come to Kenya, for example, 42 tribes are living in a single country.
42
we've somehow managed, but
true.
Yeah, but we've somehow managed to operate together. So as Africa, we've got our own stronghold that we need to capitalize on, in order to tackle these things of debt and underdevelopment mostly. But I prefer the solution of combining capitalism with communism in order to come up with an ultimate solution to help. Because in terms of capitalism, I think we can allow each individual person to grow as their own. Then in terms of communism, we can have some agendas which everybody has to abide by. Some agendas which actually are meant to help everyone, each and every person, and maybe the whole country as a whole. For example, in terms of, and you see the way China is doing it, China can come up with a rule, the Communist Party can come up with a rule whereby everyone has to abide by that rule. In as much as you're operating on your own as a single company or as a single entity.
With the interest of the nation in mind.
Yeah, the interest of the nation has to be in mind. So I guess maybe that has to be the solution for most African countries. And I'm going to talk about something controversial. I like being controversial. That's in my nature.
Before you go there, I don't know if you've read or you've heard the story of Thomas Sankara, the one from Burkina Faso. Thomas Sankara. I think it was the first. You must have seen this picture somewhere. A picture of a young guy with a red beret. You must have seen it somewhere.
I've actually heard of that name several times.
Yeah, so he was. I think in my opinion, he was the guy who managed to introduce communism in Africa successfully. Because Burkina Faso became independent of foreign aid during his time. And they were producing enough food for themselves, and people were getting jobs, and like he had a vision for Burkina Faso. Unfortunately, he was assassinated. The presidency was taken over by his friend, who is I think his name is Blaise Compassé or something. Blaise Compassé. And just a few weeks ago, they were reopening investigations into his murder, into Thomas Sankara's murder. So that's an interesting, for people who are interested in how communism can work in Africa. Check out, just go and check out any documentary on Thomas Sankara. It's brilliant what he did for his country. So you were talking about how you like being controversial. Do you do it for? There's this tweet people used to reply, the quote replies that people on Twitter that unajua huna point lakini unataka kuwa controversial.
I think I'm those kinds of people. So actually, before delving down into the controversy, as whatever you've talked about is a description of a law of power, which actually I think Thomas Sankara didn't observe.
Yeah.
There's this book, it's a common book, 48 Laws of Power.
Okay.
There's a law that talks about Yes, by Robert Greene. It
Mm.
talks about paying close attention to your enemies
Mm.
more than your friends.
Is it your? Oh yeah, okay, yeah.
I'm sure he had noticed some rebellion from this person who actually took over power from him,
Yeah.
but he just assumed he was
Actually,
supposed to pay more attention to that.
in the documentary, he actually tells the. So at that time, I don't
Yes,
know if you've heard of Che Guevara. Che
no, I've
Guevara,
not heard of
he's
that.
also, you must have seen his face on a t-shirt somewhere, a guy wearing a black beret and he has beard. So Che Guevara had just been, was championing communism in Argentina at that
Yes,
time. And
yes,
he had become, I think he had become leader of Argentina and he had been assassinated. So when Thomas
yeah,
Sankara was in power, and they were calling him the Che Guevara of Africa.
mm,
So, and I think they were assassinated at the same age. So he was telling this news
yes,
reporter that I think maybe I will become like Che Guevara because he had heard of, that means he had heard of those rebellions and he knew the potential of getting assassinated during that time. So, and
yeah,
Dr. Jordan Peterson, who is a
yes,
Canadian clinical psychologist, says that if you think that you can start communism successfully, even
yes,
if you do happen to be successful in your implementation of communism, the
yeah,
probability that you will be able to do that for a long time before someone
yes,
shoots you in the back of the head.
yes,
And he says that's what happened to every person in history who started communism in nearly every person in history who started communism in their country. That you
yes,
got
yeah,
assassinated before you got the chance to implement that dream you had in your head. Because
yeah,
the classic defense of people for communism is, well, what Stalin was doing wasn't real communism, and what Chairman Mao did wasn't real communism, and so
yeah. That wasn't
if
real communism, by the way.
so, Dr. Peterson, oh no, people like you, Dr. Peterson says that that's the most arrogant statement anybody could ever make. That you're trying to say that if you're in Stalin's position, that that you will have ushered in the utopia and not the massacres that those guys did. Now you don't understand that the massacres are an outcome of the implementation of the communism. If you were to implement the communist agenda, but that was just I was just digressing. I was going on another path, but you can go to, I don't know. You were talking about I can't remember.
Yeah, the controversy.
Yeah,
So I can say,
you wanted to be controversial, yeah.
yeah, I wanted to be controversial, but I think in the Stalin's case, it was more of a social experiment.
Mm.
There was no place that had implemented communism and actually worked so well perfectly for a very long period of time.
Mm.
The only place I think that we are seeing is China right now, but
Mm.
it's not communism per se. It's a mixture.
It's not pure, yeah.
Yeah, it's not pure. So I guess it was a social experiment.
Mm.
We as humans, we actually needed to experiment on these two ideologies,
Mm.
socialism and no, not socialism. That's another thing.
That's another
This
reason.
communism and capitalism,
Mm.
and try to see where actually do we lie and which one actually works best.
Mm.
So I think China has been it has actually been the first place to give humanity a very good solution in
Mm.
terms of the way to go, because it has worked very well for them and they're on the path to being the best economy in the world in terms of almost everything.
Yeah.
Industrialization, in terms of tech. Okay, now let me be controversial. So we are back in Kenya here, and
Mm.
there was a time the late former president Moi,
Mhm.
he was talking about single party democracy.
Mm.
This guy, he understood Kenya and he told Kenyans that that was it in 1991 or 1992 when multi-party democracy was being introduced? 92 or
No,
okay.
that's
It was 91, I
that
guess.
92.
Section 2A.
Yeah, 92 is when they repealed Section 2A. I think.
Yeah, that was the time.
Yeah.
So he actually accepted that to be done, but Shingo Upande. Then he told Kenyans it wasn't something that he wanted. And then he told Kenyans that one day you'll remember what I told you, that so many parties are going to divide people along tribal lines. You will mention those parties. I don't know, Mango Association. I don't know, Cup Corporation, and you'll form your own team and you'll come up with your own candidates.
Yeah.
But when you look deep down at the bottom line, you'll find that this party actually belongs to a certain tribe. This party is this tribe. This party is this tribe, or this
and
this union. Yeah, it belongs to this tribe,
and it's being led by a tribal chief. So,
yeah, yes. And during the general election, it will always boil down to, it will be this tribe versus this tribe, this tribe group versus this tribe group.
True.
And it's not only in Kenya. These things are happening across all African countries, or rather most of them. So I think, in as much as we like this multi-party democracy and people having to have their own say, it is something that we should really think deep about. And it's something that we should actually consider. You see, in order for this capitalism, communism mixture to work, for China, they only have one party, the Communist Party. And this is the party that makes all rules. They decide everything. And it has worked for them. The middle class has grown tremendously. It's
exploded.
Very huge. 350 million people. That's a very big number.
Yeah.
You see, in Kenya, there was this statistic whereby someone was analyzing bank accounts in Kenya. Only, I don't know if it was 20% or 10. I don't know. It was a very small percentage of people in Kenya. Okay, 20 and 10. I'm not sure of the statistic. Let me assume it was 15. 15% of the population have above 100,000 shillings in their account. Only 15%.
And I saw a statistic. It was, I think, for working Kenyans, so people who are working, were officially employed. I think there's only, if you're earning 150K and above, you're in the top 10% of all working Kenyans, and we have an unemployment rate of what is it, 60 or 70? So that means that's 10%.
70, yes.
10% of 30% of the population. So you can just do the math.
And in fact, in general, if you have a salary that is more than 30K, you're in the top 30%. That should count for you. If you have a salary that is more than 30,000 shillings, you're in the top 30%.
You're a privileged, and if you're male, you're even more privileged.
Yes, of people who have money. So if you think in terms of those who are earning more than 100,000, those I think they are now the top cream. In Mr. Robot, they talk about the top 5% of the top the top 1% of the top 1%. The tip of the iceberg. You lie in that category.
I think another one was I think it was 8,500 people have more money than, I don't know, it was some interesting statistic on the gap in the inequality of wealth in Kenya. So I think it was 8,300 people have more money than, I think it was the bottom 80% or something of the population. That only 8,300 people have that have a certain amount of money, and I think if you even boil it down to like the top 5 families or something, they have more money than probably 60% of the population. In terms of that.
That's how it is.
But I think it's it's Jordan Peterson. Okay, I heard it in Peterson's lecture that it's something called
Yes.
the Pareto distribution where and it's also covered. It's called the Matthew 25 principle. In Matthew 25, I think it's verse 13 or something. The Bible
Yes.
says, "To those who have, more will be given to them,
Yeah,
and to
and
those
those
who
who have
do not have, even
little, it will be
taken
even that
away."
little will be taken away from them. Yeah,
I think that was one of my
I
favorite.
can quote from a Swahili song. It was a hymn that we used to sing
That was
while
my
we were in
favorite song, favorite quote.
Yeah,
One
it
of my
was. I
favorite.
think it was my favorite song.
Yeah, what was it?
Lile tawi lisilozaa.
Mimi
It was
hulikata
mimi ndimi mzabibu wa kweli.
mimi mzabibu nalo tawi lizalo baba hulisafisha
ili lizidi kuzaa.
Ili
lizidi kuzaa. Lile tawi lizaalo baba ulizidi kusafisha ili lizidi kuzaa.
You know this meme of the parent holding a kid in a swimming pool, then there's a skeleton at the bottom of the swimming pool.
Yeah.
So like children, parents,
no one cares about that one.
Teachers with
and
smart
you
students,
see, by the way,
and people, yeah.
Yes. And you see, by the way, the Bible, you know, I usually like referring to the Bible as a philosophical book more than a religious book, because the stories that the Bible describes are very deep. If you look in society, actually that thing replicates itself everywhere and anywhere. If you look at music, anywhere in music, people will only listen to those popular artists.
Top, I think so. It was the top 5.
Yeah.
Get about
they will only listen to those ones because those ones
90% of the views.
Yeah, because those ones have got they've got many songs and they produce songs oftenly, so people will prefer to listen to those ones. But those artists who have got very few songs and who release songs less oftenly will rarely be listened to because they don't produce much oftenly. Even in terms of even in class, there is this bias whereby the teacher will always favor this student who performs better than the rest. Then that student who performs the worst, no one cares about that student because it does very little in terms of academics. So the Bible actually describes this.
And there's a I think anyone who's watching who was in for Easter in 2016, Mango. Okay, we started the podcast and I forgot to introduce you. Yeah, so we went to high school together, and also primary school. So when Mango High School, we were for East class.
Yes.
I think I've spent the most time with you, apart from maybe my family. I think you're the guy who I've spent the most time with from primary up to high school, and even right now.
Yeah, we've been classmates all throughout.
All through, yeah. So, and there was this. They started an award scheme. Parents started an award scheme for students. So they will give awards to the best student in math, the best student in physics, the best student. And we had this guy.
That was it was extremely controversial.
Extremely controversial. And it was, that's the point I'm trying to make, because it was controversial because maybe at that time we didn't understand that principle, because it ended up being that
we didn't. No one understood because we thought it was a good thing for us.
Yeah, it was a good thing. They go to award, people are going to have money, and the funny thing,
all our parents, we'll perform, we'll be awarded.
Yeah, all our parents are contributing the same amount of money, and then it will be distributed amongst ourselves. So
how much was it? Remind me, how much was the money, by the way?
I can't remember. It was something. Was it
I don't know.
Is it 1,000 per parent?
I guess it must have been 1,000.
1,000 per parent.
Yeah. So
maybe I think it could have been less, because 1,000 would have been a lot of money. But it was something. Yeah, so it was a lot of money. So it was awards for best.
It was 1,000. I'm sure it was 1,000. I've remembered.
Yeah, it was 1,000.
Yes.
So it was for best student in X subject. And yeah. And so it ended up being that
there were several award schemes.
Award schemes. I don't know if it was best improved or something. Yeah, it must have been 1,000 because there was for best in the subject. And our class,
if you improved by a certain grade, maybe from B to A or from C to B or something.
Guest improvers. It was.
There were so many of them.
So we had this guy, and he's a brilliant guy.
He's very smart.
Jacob Zomo.
Very smart.
He's currently doing, I think, his medicine undergraduate in medicine and surgery at UN. And
he's been among the smartest people I've ever encountered. He's brilliant. Extremely smart.
Yeah, it wasn't his fault. The guy is brilliant. So
it's his talent. It's something that he's very good at. That's just him.
Just him. So it ended up being that Zomo led in almost every subject in that class, and I think he had I also had some of the best grade difference, I think, from one exam to the next. And so Zomo was the guy who was saying Zabibu la kweli. Lile
it was him who was lile linaloza babu kulizidi kulisafisha ili lizidi kuzaa.
So Zomo gets awarded for being the top. So this is the top student in almost every subject. And I think people started always complaining about that and stuff, but it's the Pareto, and I think it was Silicon Valley is a good example of that.
Now, before we continue,
where the smartest people are being awarded for their genius.
Before we continue. Just before you go to Silicon Valley, you see this thing has got both ends. We have that side whereby the producing side is awarded, and the side that doesn't produce is usually diminished. So going back to the class example, you see, on the other side we had these other people, and you see, I'll still use the analogy of the song. Lile tawi lisiloza baba hulikata.
Ili imalizia ili ama hiyo iko na nini?
It was just that way. It was
just that way. But in the verse, it actually says that it will be cut and I think thrown in the fire or something like that.
Yeah. And if you observe closely, you know, I regard that Baba as maybe the class teacher or that teacher who was in charge of that distribution. Yeah. So I remember the disregard for those who didn't used to perform well, especially maybe during meetings or just general class interactions. I don't know to mention any names, but I guess maybe the people who were in that class can remember.
People have built reputations.
I don't know to throw any names because people have built reputations. I even know one of them who is a very close friend of mine.
Yeah.
He's so fine life, my friend.
Yes.
He doesn't need academics.
Yeah.
He's made his way through life and he's very successful.
Which is great, yeah?
Yeah, which is a very good thing. We actually encourage such, by the way. So it has got both sides. If you look at every scenario that awards the best, it actually has it actually has that part whereby it diminishes those who don't produce and those who don't perform. Yes.
So it's a matter of finding your niche.
Yeah. You just find where you fit, and you make the best of that position. I remember there was something we were being told in biology about zebras. You know, zebras among other herbivores. These are the most friendly creatures. You'll never find a zebra fighting a giraffe, fighting an elephant, fighting an antelope. They never fight. They interact with all those organisms because it's simply because of the niche. You should actually know your path. You should know whatever you want, and you should just work towards that, whatever you want to do, and you should not go beyond your boundaries. That's how the zebra works. You see, in terms of food, the antelopes and these other goat-like herbivores who live in the wild, they prefer to eat the leaves.
Yeah.
They prefer to eat the leaves. But the zebra prefers to eat the stems and the other hard parts of the grass and other plants. So it really doesn't have to compete with anyone. You come, you can eat your leaves at your own pleasure. I'll just come and eat these other hard parts and I'll be good to go. We don't have to fight. You can do whatever you want to do, and I'll just come and do whatever you can do.
Yeah.
And the zebra has been able to live with those organisms for, I think, a very long period of time without having any conflicts, or maybe any major conflicts, I can say.
But
Yes.
I think on that point, so you're talking about finding your niche and knowing where you should be. The place like the school we went to, and I'm sure it's the same in Bush and in maybe Boma, in other schools.
Yeah, maybe Patch,
Patch. So these people were the best from where they came from. So in their schools, let's say they were not the best in football, they were not the best in athletics in their primary schools, but they were the best in class. So you have come, suddenly you are taking from that hierarchy in which you are the best in class, and you're thrown into Mango High School, where there are other people who are best in class. And now suddenly you're being shown, you guy, you don't know anything. And I remember one teacher, one aviation teacher.
He was a very funny person by then.
One said, I think he retired, so I think I can mention his name, Mr. Mugu. He once said
Mr. Justin Mugu, that was his name.
Mugu. He asked a person. No, I remember the person, but I won't mention his name. This platform.
Yeah, it's just.
It's not right. But
I also know the person. By the way.
I think he was asking a question about how steel is made. We were learning about materials and steel is made. And this guy said steel is made, I think, from, he wasn't listening. So he said from something about sawdust or something, or wood or something. He said some crazy thing. So Mr. Mungo just wrote a note that to the deputy principal, Mango High School, that this boy knows nothing.
Knows nothing. Knows nothing. But that was very funny. And you know, they were used to tell the whole class, this person knows nothing.
Knows nothing. So you can imagine. So this guy came from his primary school. He was the star pupil. He was the star pupil there.
Even maybe the best in the constituency or something.
And people celebrated and carried him on the shoulders. And then he's coming to Mango High School and he's being humbled by everyone there, or even not being humble, but maybe you're just average, so you're just in the middle there.
You are just,
and it looks like you're struggling.
You found your real competition.
Your real competition, right? And maybe even the guys who are top in those schools now in Mango, in Bush, now they go into UON. Most of them go into med school or go into mechatronics. They go into UON, and suddenly there are 600 people there.
You also meet your competition. Brilliant.
You meet your competition now. You're being 600 out of 600, and you are 1 out of 300. So it's something about adapting in your environment. So even if you're in your niche before, then let's say something more competitive comes in your niche, then you have to find something else so that you get into. So like there were guys who were good.
That will give you an advantage to adapt.
There were guys who were good in rugby. There were guys who were good in football in school and basketball and maybe the band and so there were guys who were able to identify quickly. And I think by form 2, form 3, someone should be able to know, okay, this is how far I can go in my education. And I know that because I'm in X and S school, if I just make the top 50%, I'm good with my grades. I'll go to campus, I'll do a decent course. Then, so that I don't focus all my energy into this academics. And there's a guy who has literal photographic memory, like Aldo Cosmo. A guy has photographic memory, and you want to compete with him. You want to cram your way.
He remembers even the page of the book where
he remembers the page number.
Those points that he written came. even remembers the section of the page whereby
the section of the page,
that content is printed. The section of the page, he'll tell you that it's on page 69.
Yeah.
On the lower page, on the lower right corner. That's where that content is. You'll find it there from a certain book.
There's just no competing, and I think the best example for us when we were in primary school, I've since met her a few times, but you remember Bridget Nadine?
Yes, I do remember her.
And she beat us so much that I think Andrew Molo was the only guy who ever beat her, and it was once in one exam.
Just once, because
with 3 points. I think it was 3 points.
It was a very thin, very slim.
Like that's 1 in 100 chances that you got to be. I mean, you can't compare. And I think that's what CBC maybe tries to address, maybe, but I don't think it will address it fully, because there's still that culture in Kenya.
There's still much to do, and
much to do, but there's a lot of awareness around.
I guess maybe in terms of CBC, I guess it's more of experimentation. They don't have to put it as a final thing. They have to experiment with it, because it's something that is actually an alternative to whatever we had. So they should experiment with it and see what works best. Then they can capitalize on that.
Yeah.
Though I don't want to focus much on CBC.
I'm not even an expert on that.
You've mentioned something about okay, I'm not a promoter of misogyny, but you've mentioned something about a girl who used to beat us mercilessly, and I was not entirely happy. Not that I was sad, because it was true. I just want to say that times are changing, and we have to embrace new things. But at the same time, we also have to understand the nature of who we are. Some things may just be on our skin or in our clothes, but deep inside we are just the same. We operate like the man that you are right now operates on the same basic principles that a man operated on maybe 10,000 years ago.
Yeah,
you're just the same person.
It's the reptilian brain.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm sure if you ask a majority of people, a majority of men, whether they will prefer to date a girl who earns more money than them or who is more intelligent than them, I'm sure a majority of them they wouldn't say yes, because okay, for me the reason may be, you see, doing well in academics and making more money and coming up with inventions, that's actually a masculine archetype. It's a masculine archetype, because men are people who are built to create things. You create solutions, you come up with, you invent things, you actually build things. And if you actually look throughout history, 99%, apart from I think Marie Curie, but 99% of most inventions and most advancement in terms of technology, in terms of just development, infrastructure, have been made by men. So in this generation, you can actually meet a girl who, if you read her thesis, it's something that is very tangible. It's something that she has actually come up with, something new that maybe no one has come up with. And this is very common. But the thing is, if you ask most men whether they can date such a lady, in as much as, women empowerment, it's a good thing. We want to be a good generation whereby no one is discriminated upon. So the same opportunities given to men should also be given to women, but at what expense? I think this has brought about some sort of awakening, whereby the women have realized that they can also go their own way. They were expected to, their role was limited to childbearing and serving the man. That was it was a primitive role. I can call it primitive because of the way the times are right now. But right now they have realized that they can do more than just that. And actually, women have got two paths in life. They can decide to go towards the primitive role, or they can decide to go towards the empowerment role. She can decide, I want to become a lawyer, I want to become a doctor, and they'll be very successful. In fact, they'll be more successful than men because she's a woman. She's done all that, and you're a man, you've done the same as her. You're a man, you ought to have done better than her. So she'll be given the opportunity at your expense.
This in every job application, under these days, underneath the right, this X company is an equal opportunities organization. We encourage women and
we encourage women to apply. Yes, and persons with disabilities.
Someone said that. Someone said that if you're a man, on Twitter, it was someone said, if you're a man and you see a job application with that at the end, just don't bother.
Just don't bother. You see, though I've got a solution, by the way. We'll rant all day about boy child, the way the boy child has been diminished, the way the girl child has been given all this attention, and the boy child, amesahaulika, he's been forgotten and he's been trampled upon. I've got a solution. You see, if it happens that way, we humans, we are a species that adapts, and we adapt in order to move on. So, as men, we have to adapt. That's the reality of life. We don't know what will happen in the future, but we have to adapt. So, the solution that I propose is that we just have to work extra hard, because that's what we men do. That is what we men do. Not women. That is what we men do.
Yeah.
We work extra hard. We work harder than the women, and I want us to think of a way that we can create masculine spaces and we can create opportunities for men.
True.
You see, a few generations ago, some positions or some industries were actually referred to as man-like, and we also had woman-like positions. Yeah. For example, the industries that deal with people, mostly the humanitarian ones. For example, you can say maybe nursing or something.
Yeah,
it was maybe left to women. But nowadays, of course, we have outliers and gray areas, but those days it used to be that way. And you could find maybe a field such as maybe engineering or maybe surgery that was done by men, because it was assumed that men are the ones who have got the capacity and the strength to do such or to undertake such roles. But nowadays we find that it has overlapped. We can find women who are engineers. You find men who are working in salons. And such stuff. So I think we have got a mountain to climb as men. This is our time to shine. This is our time to prove ourselves. We are supposed to create chances and more opportunities for ourselves as men. That we as men are going to refer to these things, that these are masculine stuff now.
So creating
that it's supposed to take many more generations for women to infiltrate into those spaces.
True.
And those should be opportunities which that are supposed to build the man, that are supposed to build the boy child and to mold him into the man. Just as it was a few years ago when we had engineering or these technical things for men, they've been infiltrated by women, and in the same way we are guilty of infiltrating the women's spaces. We should now create most places, because we are creators, we invent things. We come up with these things. So we should come up with things that we should be referring to. These are now things that are not entirely, but mostly exclusively for men.
Yeah.
Because you see, it's very bad. It's not a good thing. I don't like the fact that most women are empowered, but they can't get married, or they can't find the person that they'll bear children with and maybe raise a family with. Because I don't know if it's fear or it's deemed as competition. I think we don't fear these women who are empowered. We just deem them as competition because they're into the space that we are also into.
They're also into,
yeah. And man, we like competing. It's the game that is getting the prize. We will look for the next competition that is higher and get to the top. Even if you get to the top, you'll still find people who are at the same level as you. Just as you were describing that scenario with the bright student. At some level in primary, you are the best, but you'll go to, after succeeding, you'll go into the next level whereby you find people who are at the same level as you. So it will be more competitive.
Yeah.
So you just have to keep on competing. And it's, for men, it is the game. There's this book, and in fact, there's a movie that is based on that book. It's known as Think Like a Man.
Yeah.
Think Like a Man. It's more of it's a romance comedy kind of thing. But the philosophy behind it's very deep, because this guy, I've forgotten his name. What is the name?
Steve Harvey, the one who wrote.
Yeah. It's Steve Harvey. Yeah. So he describes he's trying to bring limelight into women who are dating men that they think don't give, who don't care about them. So he's trying to tell these women that men actually love the competition and they like chasing girls. So for men, it's more of a competition kind of thing. It's more of a chasing. It's more of a game. It's more of a, I'm looking towards a certain target. That's how men are built. So for a situation right now, we need to create more opportunities and chase towards them. That should be entirely our goal. And these are the things now that they've been infiltrated by the feminine. We can regard them as now some neutral grounds, and just let the world move. Yes.
Yeah, nice. Some good insights there for the men, for the men listening. So, yeah, work on creating those spaces for men. Though some people might argue that is.
I think I can give an example. It's too much theory.
Yeah.
It's too much theory. I can give examples. I can give examples. I can give.
I think give one, because we are like, I think we are hitting about 2.5 hours or something. But
let me just cut it short. The fitness industry. The fitness industry.
That's actually what I was thinking of.
Yeah, that is an industry that we should own as men, because I believe men, as a man, by the way, you should not die before seeing your threshold body as a man. How best can you look? Yeah, how best can you look?
I think
you can only know that by going to the gym.
Who was it who said that? I think, is it the guy who wrote Meditations or something? One of the Stoics.
Exactly.
Stoics, he said something like that. Like, it's a shame for one to die without seeing his peak physique.
You should know how best you can look. Yeah, you should know how best you can look.
Have you seen those?
I'm talking about
those old sculptures, the Greek sculptures. The way they those guys are chiseled, like the ideal.
By the way.
Yeah.
It's actually an illusion. If a man is ripped, there's a tendency of ladies to they tend to ask this guy whether he's been in fact, it's known as chiseled. I don't know,
chiseled.
Yeah, the jawline is chiseled.
It's the jawline and the shoulder to hip ratio. So that's the
Yeah,
V shape.
so
The Johnny Bravo shape.
yeah, so the idea of the chisel, I think it actually came from those sculptures.
Mhm.
Those guys were ripped. Those guys were ripped, my friend. They were ripped. Their bodies were the ideal bodies for men. That's how I think men should look like.
Mm.
I think men should not be fat, and men should not be emaciated also.
Mm.
There is somewhere in between that you should
hit.
that every person should fit. Yeah, you should hit somewhere in between.
Mm.
And this can be achieved by working out on a consistent basis.
Mm.
So an example that I can just give is that fitness industry. I think more men should get into that. It is something that you can just embrace and own and take it as our own and say that this thing belongs to us, because having a good physique means that you are healthy.
Yeah.
And that your mind also, you are of sound mind, and you are also somebody who is disciplined. It just says a lot about you, and it improves so much about you as a person.
True, and I see it. These days I do coaching for high school.
Yeah. I actually forgotten about that.
Yeah, so you can see it from boys who join when they join rugby. And
yes.
after some time, because rugby is physical and you work a lot on your conditioning, and you can see the changes in their confidence and how they're interacting with others and the way they walk. They don't walk around with drooped shoulders now. It's stand up straight with your shoulders
they have confidence,
back.
the chest is out.
Chest is out. They talk
shoulders,
they talk
exactly.
loudly among their peers. They want to be seen, and they want to make their mark on the world. And I think
the masculine aspect has come
out in full. So it's fitness is I think it's The Rock describes it as his base is like, as long as he knows he's hitting the weights, and that's what grounds him. It grounds him to who he knows he should be. Like, it takes him back to, and I think it takes us back to the core mindset of struggling against something when you're lifting a weight and you're or doing push-ups and going and creating. And Joe Rogan talks about creating his own struggle through challenging himself in terms of weights and pushing through those
pursuing something.
So pursuing
you have to be trying to solve something.
And obviously, as we're talking about men and the fitness industry, I have actually know two guys who are into that. So I think in the description of this video, I'll put in the links. KipMeFit and KipFIT, two guys who are doing some good stuff around that. So make sure you go and check out their stuff. The men who are listening to this, go check out the stuff. As Lih has said, it's not ideal for you to go through your life without knowing your what you could be like, what you could look like. And not that we've said the fitness industry, not the beauty industry. It's not something for beauty.
Fitness.
It's a fitness industry.
It's not about beauty. It's about being fit. Please don't get me wrong. It's not about being beautiful or being good looking. That's just a side product that you're not targeting. The target is to be fit and to be healthy. That's the main target. And by the way, you've mentioned KipMeFit. KipMeFit, by the way, is it's a movement that is growing, and we want it to grow. I'm actually among the main developers of that. That movement. So if there's anyone listening to this and they like to join, I guess you should leave the contact details in the description.
I'll put the contact details in the description.
So that people can know how to reach out to
that and get
it's something that you're trying to create.
And get started on their fitness journey.
We talked about middle class and the way they do nothing about things. They just talk. So we have actually decided to act on it. it's a movement, it's a fitness movement. It's in
Yeah.
the fitness industry. So if you like to join, if you like to be fit, if you like to join the tribe of men, you'll find the contacts in the description.
True.
And we're going to work together and building and building men. Even women can join if you want to be fit, or if you just want to be healthy. Come along. It will be a very smooth ride, in quotes. It will be a smooth ride. Yes.
Yeah, and this matter of the tribe of men, because you brought it up, it's not something, not just for. So obviously there are these guys who are coming up in the Kenyan manosphere. So manosphere is the masculinity space, and it's not something that you just go and follow online and wait for hashtag masculinity Saturday,
updates,
wait for Andrew Kide to update
and you share,
and then
you screenshot and share on WhatsApp and do nothing about it.
Share on WhatsApp, and then you feel good about
just as exactly you are.
The conflict you are generating from people on your contact list, probably from maybe ex-girlfriends who have turned into maybe militant feminists. But it's something that
feminazist.
It's feminazist. It's something that you should be actively doing, actively pursuing in your life. And I think the more you actively pursue that, the more you feel more connected to that community, rather than just retweeting or getting on those arguments online. So the moment you get red-pilled and get into those communities, it's not just an act of following, though sharing and following is a good way of getting that message to a large number of people. But it's something that you should be actively doing, so that at least this works. You're defending something that actually, so when you go to defend it on social media, you're defending something that has worked for you. And I think
you will say that it actually worked for me. I've tried it and it's worked for me.
Yes. So
and the good thing about that will be that when more people join and they actually see your testimony, they'll actually try it out because people want to see evidence. So they try it out and it will work for them because these things work. And it will be a movement that will actually grow, and it's going to be more successful.
Yeah. Have you seen the movie Fight Club? You've read the book Fight Club. It's something around that. It's something around that, creating a space for men. So the basic summary is this guy
it's about me. I think I should watch that movie.
Yeah, there's this guy who's living his life, that middle class life of yours, buying things he doesn't need with money he doesn't have. And he's sitting there, and he finds out, he finds something, he finds a group of men. Actually it's his alter ego who creates this group of men where people go and fight each other on weekends, so that for one time in that week at least you feel vulnerable and you feel your strength and power as a man. And then it was taking people back to their raw values. And I think it is one of the few masculine I think pieces of works of art that guides men on what they should do, because there's plenty of motivation for women in movies. Like every movie you see these days, the main actress is a woman who overcomes this big challenge and she becomes the best in her field. She's the best FBI agent, she's the best this. But I think Fight Club really really touched on a space for men. Like men need that community. And it's not a community where you go and people feel sorry for you and you feel touchy-feely, sorry. No, it's like a place where you go and you go into your raw instinct as a man.
There's no softness.
There's no softness.
Just how the man should be.
Yeah.
And by the way, talking of those films, there's these popular one known as Peaky Blinders, which
nice.
It hit every social media platform, and I guess it's based on the same aspect.
It's and it's just recently that I discovered how much it had penetrated into the Kenyan university, the Kenyan university going age, so 19 to 23. And
exactly.
even high schoolers.
Especially the male.
Yeah,
Yes.
the males were really attracted to it, and it's okay. For those who don't know, it's a movie set in England in, I think, about after the First World War, around 1918 to 1920s.
Yeah.
About this gang of brothers known as the Peaky Blinders, and it's led by this alpha.
It's actually based on a true
male.
story.
Yeah, based on an actual gang which were called the Peaky Blinders.
It's based on an actual gang that existed.
Yeah, in Birmingham. So it's not politically correct. It shows the raw form. There's fighting and bare knuckle fighting, and people like it's brilliant. If you are a man out there and you haven't seen it, you should just go and see it.
You should just watch it. If you are a man and you haven't seen this, brilliant. You should watch it. It's going to bring out it. It's going to bring out the masculine aspect in you. You will relate to it, and you'll wish that you're actually among those characters.
Yeah, you wish that you.
Yeah,
you are that
going through whatever those guys are going through.
True.
So I guess in terms of media, we should also have more of those films, because you see nowadays these media platforms, the likes of Netflix, Amazon, they're full of I want to be soft, man. I guess we've gone right now.
Talk about your feelings.
Yeah, they're full of rubbish movies, because these movies are only there for entertainment. They don't empower you. They don't push you to think more or to do something more. They're only there to make you laugh or to diminish your masculine side, your masculine side. So I think movies like Peaky Blinders or shows such as Peaky Blinders and Fight Club should be produced more frequently.
Yeah.
So that men can relate with these characters and reignite the masculinity in them, because at the moment it's being diminished. It's almost dead, I can say.
And another
yes.
Another one is I just remember this. Breaking Bad is also a good one. So Breaking Bad, I think Breaking Bad was summed up by one sentence that Gus Fring said to Walter White, that a man provides, whether he's appreciated or not, he provides no matter what. So it's a show about a guy who wants to provide for his family. And I think that's why
he does whatever it takes.
Does whatever it takes to provide for his family and to protect his family. So it's also a good show of someone who was let's say a weak man who become a nobody, who turns out to tap into his masculine essence. Though the show doesn't say it, you can feel it in how they write it and how the masculine characters develop throughout the show. So it's a pretty good show.
Yeah, they grow in him.
Yeah,
much well.
So speaking of Fight Club, I also remember that there's so for the UFC fans, MMA, mixed martial arts, Ultimate Fighting Championship. There's a heavyweight match tomorrow, heavyweight and also featherweight. But the big match is the heavyweight matchup between Francis Ngannou and Cyril Gane. So that's also something that people don't understand, why men are attracted to such sports, like a sport of people beating the shit out of each other. So it's something that
actually
interested in. Yeah, so people should check it out.
By the way, as in talking of, there are two things actually. Talking of fighting, I have a friend who studies in UN. He's doing medicine.
Yeah,
he was actually our classmate, Andrew.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Andrew one day posted on his status that he feels sad nowadays that throughout his life in campus, none of his classmates actually had a fist fight. And actually feels that as men we are actually losing our frame, because even if you look in the animal kingdom, it is frequent. Men fight. They express their masculinity through
that's how we express our
physical activities.
Our aggression. And you know,
Yes.
Andrew, I've just
You don't
remembered.
sit in your corner and whine that.
I've just remembered that Andrew was one of those guys who used to get into fights when you were in class.
Yeah, Andrew was a violent person. So it's something that is actually
Even
I thought about, and I thought it actually makes sense, because
yeah.
I think the same thing. It's also the same thing with me. I don't remember the last time I saw people, two men having a fist fight, and actually beating the real shit out of each other.
That's why you go.
It's been very long.
That's why you go and watch Peaky Blinders. That's why you go and watch UFC.
Yeah.
You go and, actually. That's why you watch.
In fact, that's why you watch sports.
That's why you watch rugby. Yeah,
That's why you watch sports. Yeah, it's because sports,
yeah.
Rugby and soccer, football. It brings about the competition aspect. You know, we've got to. I can think about why the Premier League in English is so popular.
Yeah.
And why rugby in New Zealand and Australia is so popular is because those individual clubs were actually communities, and they were regions that actually had real rivalries in the past.
Fighting against each other.
Yeah, so the sports perspective brought about the competition, but in an entertaining way and in a more civilized fashion, because there were rules.
With a little bit of rules.
When you support, there were some few rules. So when you sit back and support a certain team, and you watch that team play live, you actually feel with it. You feel that you're part of that team, and you actually feel the moment whereby you're almost losing or you're almost scoring. And when the team scores, you actually feel that you've made an achievement yourself. And I think that's why nowadays when you look around almost all towns, there are so many places whereby most men aged between, I can say between 12 and 30 and 25. These guys like playing FIFA on on these common consoles, because you feel in control and you feel that you've actually defeated a person in real life, and you can have some bragging rights that people actually had in the past. You know, in the past we had these communities whereby we have this strongest person in the community.
The village.
Everybody,
it's called the village champion.
Everybody looks up to this guy because he's the strongest, he's the fastest, he's the best hunter. So it gives men that feeling of competition and that feeling of victory. And actually, when you play on the console and you beat somebody,
there are actually studies that have been done on the testosterone levels of men when their team loses or when their team wins. So your testosterone goes up when your team wins, and it goes down when your team loses. And it's that feeling of my group won, my tribe won, and
we won.
My tribe
you
lost.
Feel with it.
My tribe lost.
Yes.
So that means so it goes back to old systems in our brains. And that's why maybe some women will never understand why men are so passionate about that stuff.
Yes.
Yeah. So
it's something that is deeply engraved inside our archetypes. It's something that men have been doing since time immemorial.
Yeah.
Men like competitions. Men like to compete amongst themselves. They like to fight, and they like to chase goals and achieve certain targets. So if maybe you are a girl who is watching this, and you're wondering why your boyfriend or your spouse or your husband or your better half or your betrothed is so much engraved to a sporting event, just know that this guy is feeling as part of a community.
Yes.
And when his team loses, he'll feel that his community has lost. Because that's what men have done ever since men were men. Yeah. Ever since men were men, that's what men have been doing.
Ever since men were men. I like that.
It's something that is just in us. We love to compete, and we love to compete amongst ourselves. We love to chase goals. So this is something that modern women or girls just have to deal with, because sometimes you also deal with their stuff that they say that you don't understand. I don't know, colors or something. Anyway.
That's a topic for another day.
Yeah, that's something that we'll discuss on a different occasion.
Hey, you guys, but I think it's midnight. I think we've done about, I don't know if it's two and a half hours, 2.5 or 3 hours. We're heading into 3 hours.
I think it's been a fruitful discussion.
Yeah,
These things
fruitful
need to be talked
discussion.
about.
We said we were going
Yes.
for 40 minutes, but now here we are 3 hours later. And we haven't even discussed what we had planned. I think a week from today. But that's
We will discuss. We
we
will
will
discuss these
discuss it
things.
on another day.
Yes.
I had said before that I'd forgotten to introduce you. So yeah, our guest today was Lih Ingabo, Ustadh. Ustadh, the name he gave himself when you were back in was it primary school? I think it was after Ustadh Wala bin Wala.
Yeah, I named myself after that Swahili professional,
Swahili
Ustadh
professional.
himself.
Yeah, no, his
So on
Swahili
first,
skills are nowhere near that of Wala bin Wala. So
though they're close, they're close.
ni jina la majazi. Jina la
Jina
majazi.
la majazi.
Yeah, so I think as I've said somewhere in the podcast, you're one of the guys whom I've spent the most time with. And yeah, we wanted to just chat a bit about anything and everything. And I think we've done just that. So I hope people watch this, enjoy the podcast. Anything you'd like to add? Oh, he's also a tech guru, your resident tech guru. So I think we'll be having some special tech
Yeah, and by the way,
because tech is just a deep topic, yeah. And maybe we can call some other guys who.
yeah, it's very deep.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So anything you want to add?
It's very deep. And by the way, just before you finalize, I can say this. My interests are in cybersecurity, and data science. Yeah. Mostly the artificial intelligence stuff that I've just been talking about. So if there's anyone that is interested, or maybe who wants something done in those fields, they can reach me out.
Your social media.
My social media, you can find me. You can search for Ustadh Ingabo on Facebook.
Yeah.
You can find Ingabo _ on Instagram. Then on Twitter you can find Lih Ingabo on Twitter.
Yeah, so
though I'm mostly active on Instagram. You'll find me mostly on Instagram. Yeah. That's where we can discuss some tech stuff, so you can finalize on that.
So I think I'll tag you on the posts on Instagram so that people can check out your bio and stuff. So yeah, I've been your host, John Wanga.
Yes.
Find me at Wanga Rugby, and I would like to state that this podcast is separate from this podcast, and any of its participants is separate from any professional occupations that they may be having, and should be treated as such. That what has been expressed in this podcast are opinions, and those which have been stated as facts have some backing, with which, if you want to get into it, feel free to comment below. If you agree with us, if you disagree with us, if you wanted us to talk about a certain topic, comment in the video in the comments below on YouTube. Soon these episodes will be available on Spotify as well as Apple. So thanks for watching. If you found this content great, you should give us a like and follow on Instagram at the All Boys Podcast. On Twitter, the All Boys Podcast. Follow me at Wanga Rugby on all platforms. And yeah, make sure you tag us in any story that you want us to cover. And we'll see who the guest will be next week. Cheers.